What's going on? I am Nando.
Hey, and I'm DJ. Forget about it.
Hey, and I'm a regular New Jersey boy. Hey, I parked my car over there. Name's Diggins.
This is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo-hoo.
Hey.
Forget about it.
Yeah, speaking of forget about it, it's another fucking spy movie from Netflix or something, you know, that you'll forget about within days, if you even remember it now. We're going to say the name of it, and then you'll forget about it by the time the sentence is over.
100 million, billion, trillion people have watched it, Nando, so they must have seen it.
Yeah, I haven't checked this one, if it's actually done well. But no, it is. Yeah, it's the number one. Oh my God, the number one movie.
How many cats? Would you guess? By percentage.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
30,
Let's
40?
Say, see, this is tricky. Well, no, cats would want to watch this. Because I was like, are cats watching everything on the Netflix top 10? Or are there some things that are just people things and some things that are just cat things? Like, for example, the Emoji Movie. Would a cat enjoy the Emoji Movie, or would it frighten a cat?
I see.
I don't think that any living creature would enjoy the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think my cat would like to see it. Like, I think it would be... it just doesn't look nice, as opposed to Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, which I bet my cat would enjoy seeing because he loves watching fish and stuff. But then, so Emoji Movie is 4, Saving Bikini Bottom is 5. Number 6, Inside the Mind of a Dog. Would a cat want to get inside the mind of a dog? Because that's something a cat would want to know.
Well, but you gotta know the enemy, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Is this like the true crime of cats, where they just watch podcasts and and movies about dogs, and then just go, "That's what I hear." It's just crazy. They like fetch and everything.
They're like, we need stricter dog catching requirements out there. We gotta get these crazy dogs off the street.
Yeah. It's like, and, you know, you could really understand, like, a dog's psyche. It's like, who knew a dog's secret enemy was ninjas? And then cats are like, oh, I'll dress up like a ninja, and then I'll scare dogs.
That's true. And I think if you take that into consideration, if you assume all of those could also be cats, it's the Emoji Movie that I don't like it. But the first two, or the 2 and 3 this week, are Kingsman's. Kingsman 1 and Kingsman 2 for some reason. And then number 1 is Union. The movie that thinks it's Kingsman, but that is 60,000 hours viewed over, 60, well, I don't know, maybe 60,000, but 60 million is what they're saying. And then the Kingsman movie that is right below it is 33 million. So it's a lot of views, you know.
Almost double the most recent thing, the next closest thing. I guess Union Fever is sweeping the nation.
It really is. And, you know, that's great. I'm really happy for him. Because we're going to talk about it because it's cool, great, and we all love it. But before that, you guys, how are you guys doing this week?
You know, I think I'm doing pretty mediocre. How's that? Is that good? I'm
doing real sleepy. There's a good chance this is going to be a loopy pod for me.
Wow.
Oh, we love our loopy pods.
I want to wake you up with a quote. This is the news of this week. I remember when I saw this, my mouth opened up like I was I don't know. I guess I had the reaction that the Mask has when he sees a sexy lady, you know, seeing these words.
Just like fully to the floor, and then your tongue rolled out like a carpet.
It's big. My eyes turned into big steam whistles of whistling steam. Something that our normal blue collar man would understand. We'll get to it.
Red, like your face turned red from the neck, growing up. Like a fluid was filling it, and then like the top of your head blew off at a steam whistle played.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you.
This is just a quote from one of our best directors. It's about a certain movie that's coming out next year. Later this year. Yeah, it's about you know, you've seen that movie, the trailer for that movie Joker Folie à Deux. Speaking of movies that are kind of the Crow from conversation we're having before the podcast. This is a little quote from...
This Crow remake does give me big Joker energy.
Super Joker energy, yeah. If Joker wasn't trying to not be Joker, if Joker wasn't trying to be like Martin Scorsese, but if it was like just, I don't know, what Todd... Like, because Todd Phillips, listen, either he's dumb or he thinks we're dumb. I don't know which one it is, but like, I feel like in his head, Crow is the movie he thinks he's making. But anyway, I'm only saying he thinks we're dumb because of this quote that he said about why Joker 2 isn't really a musical. I don't want people to think it's like In the Heights, where the lady in the bodega starts to sing and they take it out onto the street and the police are dancing. No disrespect, because I loved In the Heights. Most of the music in the movie is really just dialogue. It's just Arthur not having the words to say what he wants to say, so he sings them instead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All right. A, does he not know what musicals are? Or B,
he just figured it out. He just invented it.
Or has he never seen In the Heights? Maybe is that also possibly on the cards?
I mean, I think he's seen In the Heights just because he used it as his example. And if I were going to use an example and I'd never see a musical, that'd be a pretty tough one to, I think I'd say like Les Mis or something like that. Is In the Heights that culturally, ubiquitous?
It's a fair point. But I think what you guys aren't considering is what he's saying is that in Joker 2, music is there. Like, people sing songs in order to express ideas or convey emotions that feel too big in that moment for words, which is nothing like what a musical is.
No.
Where people sing songs because it's silly and fun. And
I was
going to say serious movie.
Because they're not manly in the cool way that the Joker is,
Yeah.
And so it's okay. You could still like this movie, even though he sings.
Yeah,
because
actually,
it's not like a musical.
I feel like this is actually clever marketing on his part, because the target audience for the first Joker would be like, "No, I'm not going to see a fucking musical. I mean, that's like for women, right? I'm like an alpha male."
Shout out to all the alpha males out there listening.
And so he's giving them permission. He's saying like, no, guys, this isn't a musical. This is a story where original songs are incorporated in order to express ideas that are too big, or like emotions that are too big to be contained. That's nothing like what a musical is, guys. It's fine if you watch this.
Can I offer a counterpoint, Diggins?
Yeah, what's up?
This is just a theory.
Okay.
Todd Phillips is an idiot. Because why would you put Lady Gaga in your not musical movie? I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose, because I feel like the reason to see her is to be in your musical movie. So
now, DJ, so on one hand, you're saying that. On the other hand, Joker 1 is such a wild, deep explanation of the human psyche or whatever. How can this man not be a genius? Remember when Joker says like a dirty joke or something and the lady says, "You can't say that joke."
Really makes you think about society.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like to Dickens' point, you might be bringing in the alpha males that you want to bring in, but you might be taking out the Lady Gaga fans because they want to see her in the musical movie. So I don't know. That's a tough wire act to pull off.
Has she ever been in a non-musical movie before?
I mean,
The House of Gucci, right? That probably was a musical.
Yeah, all right.
How'd that do? Did that flop? Like, did the Lady Gaga fans go, "I'll wait for a musical, thank you very much"? Because then you're really worried. But then maybe it flopped for other reasons. Maybe it had Adam Driver in it, the least reviewed man in all of cinema.
It wasn't like a smash, but it made back its money, and even with marketing costs, almost certainly. Because it cost $75 million. It made 166.2. What was that? Sorry.
Even with Jared Leto in it?
Even with
you
Jared
sure
Leto.
People watch this movie?
The Joker himself.
I don't know.
Jared
Hatbox
Leto
Ghost
doing
himself?
a full-on Mario impression.
Yeah. It's the only thing in that movie I have seen. It's pretty cool. What was I going to say about Joker? Apparently most of the music is not original music, by the way. I know we haven't gotten into that specifically, but it's like covers of songs. But let's think. I don't know if we've done this yet, or if this is just something I do in my head and I'm listening to the podcast or whatever. Anybody want to take a guess at some songs that we think are going to be in Joker? Even if we have done it, let's do it again. Because these aren't musical songs. These are just regular songs, you know?
I want to say, oh man, because there's like the one in the trailer, right? It's like, smile at the life, but so smile. Words to a song.
Yeah, the thing when the whole world smiles at you or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that's one. We'll crush that. No
They
notes.
already did send in the clowns last time, so it can't be this time.
That's true.
Also, that is a song from a musical.
You know what?
That's true.
I'm willing to bet that they're going to do the Staircase song again. They're going to bring it the fuck
Gary Glitter
back.
Song? That doesn't even have any words, though. What would it be? Yeah. Maybe she can sing that. Banana. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the greatest.
Oh, that would happen in this, though, for sure.
They're gonna go like, they're gonna be like, wah, wah. They're gonna get the whole crowd in on it. Wah,
Yeah, they're gonna sing
wah,
"You
wah.
Suck," right? That's what you sing at a football game or whatever when they play that song.
Oh, I got a dark horse for you. Dark horse.
Okay.
Ooh.
Not like us.
Not like the comics.
Oh, yes, like them. Yeah.
It's just all singing to Gotham. They not like us. So.
And I guess they're not. Who would they? Would there not like us be about Batman? That he's a child molester or something?
No,
You
it's
know?
actually still about Drake, weirdly.
Oh no, that universe is Drake too. That stinks. Although this takes place in the past, so they're just getting mad at the guy from Degrassi, Wheelchair Jimmy or whatever they called him on that show. Never watched it, but that's what I've heard. He's having a week.
He's having 4 months.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the height of it did seem like it was the concert, but now it's definitely the DNC, right?
Yeah.
Having all the politicians dancing to the song about how you're a child molester.
Yeah, and then they added it to the platform. They say it's the official position of the Democratic Party that Drake's probably a child predator.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's pretty hard to beat that. But yeah, I don't know who's like the King of England or something. He's not cool. We wouldn't like it if he did it. Maybe it would have to be someone close to Drake, like his.
Considering who his son is, the King of England would really be throwing stones from his glass house.
Yeah, well, he would know. He'd be saying like, as an expert, I have to say, but I'm thinking like maybe if Millie Bobby Brown got in on the action, that would be a big moment for this.
That would be actually insane.
Yeah,
actually insane.
She's one of the only people we haven't heard from, and she's got Stranger Things to promote coming up next year. So
it's true. They're
gonna
bring
it back. Yeah.
You think they're gonna ask? I feel like that's way too uncomfortable.
I mean, who cares? You ever seen those press junkets? It feels like at the end of the day, it's like on Hot Ones, the whole kind of bit is like if we ask enough questions and have spicy hot wings, they'll let their guards down. I feel like that's what these are. If you're like the 5 o'clock person and this thing started at like 9 a.m., you could probably ask that question. She'll be like, yeah, I don't know, man. He's does weird shit. He texts me every night before I go to bed. Just a little kiss or something. It's just sweet dreams. I don't know. All right, so I Googled the word crazy love song. There's a song called Crazy Love by Van Morrison. That'll probably be in there.
Right.
Aaron Neville also did it, so that'll probably be in there too. Yeah, it's the only one I can think of.
What about that Crazy in Love by... Who's that by?
Oh, Beyonce?
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Crazy in Love by
and
Beyonce.
Jay-Z. Do you think he's going to rap to it? Do you think Arthur Fleck's going to do the... Can you even do that, though? Because that's like a song that takes place in our universe, in our timeline. Like, can he do... like that doesn't... When Joker takes place like the 80s, right? I don't think he could do a contemporary rap song.
70s, first of all. Second of all...
Or 70s? Okay, yeah.
I'm putting my marker down right now. Arthur Fleck rap break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy it.
Well, if it's Arthur Fleck rap break, but 70s, would have to be like that kind of Sugar Hill Gang, like, my name is Joker, and I'm here to say that like, so that could be pretty cool. But
yeah, cool is definitely the word I would use there. Cool. Gosh.
No, it's going to be like that Great Gatsby movie where all the music is modern and contemporary.
And Jay-Z.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it does tell you things about society, much like the Great Gatsby. So it actually kind of fits pretty well.
It makes you think.
Yeah. Speaking of movies that make you think, because they're almost like a Great Gatsby-esque tale, a mystery man, a normal man, mystery woman, let's say, but a mystery person and a normal person whisk the other one away onto a big thing where one of them dies in a pool. Spoiler alert, just kidding. Someone dies in a pool. Oh, someone does die in a pool.
Someone does die in a pool.
Yeah. So
there's a car accident near the end.
Yep, there is a car accident. This is I don't know. I'm gonna have to find like is there a billboard of like Bud Light with a guy holding a big sunglasses or something? And you're like, oh, that's that billboard from The Great Gatsby.
Could be.
Yeah, we're going to talk about The Union, you guys. The Union.
Unions are back. They're
Unions
back,
are bad. This is slander. No, I know, but this is trying to ruin them. They're having a big summer, and if anything's going to derail that, it's this movie, The Union. I'm so excited because it's another one of these fucking movies that they refuse to stop making. And Diggins, I think you won last week, right? No,
I did.
You did, yeah. What was last week?
Borderlands.
It was another weird.
Yeah,
right.
I had another hard time with this where I was plugging this on the Roses and Rejections, and I'm like, what did we do?
Yeah, Borderlands, man, that movie came and went. Like, it's hard with movies this week because like there have been so many, because Aliens is this, and maybe we'll talk about it very, very later. But like, it's movies that take up the discourse for like a day. And then that pushes whatever the other thing was out. But then by the end of that day, the discourse around them is kind of done. And that's kind of what Borderlands was. Union hasn't had its moment yet, so maybe
we'll see.
It's up.
Well, because as far as I know, no one from like the cast of Borderlands was like, this movie was shit. I can't believe I did it. Like there was no Madam Web like post-mortem where it's like, this was awful.
Also, well, first of all, yeah.
Out of theaters already.
It's gonna be on VOD in like a week, I think. The 30th, I think it's the day that one's popping. God, I thought you were gonna say, Diggins, in interviews for Alien Romulus, Madam Web's own, whatever her name is, the littlest one,
Isabella Merced,
said that she thinks Madam Web is kind of almost camp, and I think that's the right attitude. I appreciate it. I think all of them have had the right attitude when they've talked about this. I haven't heard, I guess Isabella Merced is not the littlest one, actually. She's the shortest one, but she's not technically, the youngest one is Maddie Franklin. But anyway, she's the only one I haven't heard talk about it, but all the rest of them have been like, yeah, it was fucking stupid, right? But not like in a mad way, just like in a, do you guys watch that? It's crazy. They made that.
It's stupid, right?
Look, yeah. I think after watching Borderlands and now this, we can all say we judged Madam Web a little too harshly.
Yeah.
I'll co-sign on that.
The only thing I will say about Borderlands we didn't say last week is I know Ariana Greenblatt did not go to the premiere, but they brought a cardboard cutout of her character to the premiere and held it around. So
let's go.
Maybe she was so up fun. on the info. Yeah.
I love that so much.
But
I like when they get it.
I do too. And I like when the people that are there have a cardboard cutout, It's not like they pretend she's, she almost came, but then she couldn't. They're like, oh, here she is. It's kind of funny for me. But yeah, let's talk about The Union. Speaking of movies,
let's talk about this movie.
A lot of cardboard cutouts could have been at this premiere. He could hold them all because he's so strong.
The way we start talking about The Union is by playing a little game here at Mostly Nitpicking that we like to call the IMDb B as in spelling bee, where my two esteemed co-hosts have to try to guess the IMDb summary for this movie. Now, you might be asking yourselves, where does IMDb get those summaries? Well, I'll tell you. All across the country, there are dead drops scattered throughout in like utility boxes, in like old generators, in like torn up phone booths that have been left behind by some organization. We know very little about them, what their who is a member of them, what their purpose is, what they hope to accomplish by doing this. But every week in these dead drop locations, little strips of paper are placed in. These dead drops are watched 24/7. Nobody ever sees who does the drop. But the strips of paper are recovered, and each of them has a single word written on them. So all of those papers are brought to IMDb headquarters, where they are assembled, and when put together in the correct order, the words form a summary for a movie that came out that week. And I have the little strips of paper that were assembled at imdb.com headquarters here for the Union. And I think they did a decent job with assembling these words.
Okay.
It's
all right.
It's basically correct.
Oh, okay.
Great. That's the best kind of correct. Right. I'm excited.
So I believe I get to decide whether to go first or not.
Yes, as last week's loser, you get to decide.
All right, I'll go first on this. Okay. I'm trying to put my mark on it. Okay. Mike, a average down on his luck construction worker, is recruited by his old high school sweetheart Roxanne to help with a dangerous spy mission.
Okay. Cool. So similar but different stuff. Good. I'm going to say Mike, an average construction worker from New Jersey, is whisked away by an old flame to join the global spy agency, the Union, and foil a terrorist plot that threatens the whole world.
Now, I do have a winner. One of you did clearly better than the other.
That's fun.
However, I also had a tiebreaker, if you guys want to do that first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love tiebreakers.
So, in this movie, at one point, J.K. Simmons makes a joke about how they're spending enough money to buy the Knicks and teach them how to play basketball.
Oh,
okay.
If only. You think they could afford Eddie, the basketball teaching fan of the Knicks, who also becomes the manager in that movie? Remember that movie? Do you have any seen it?
Yeah.
No. Forever ago, Nando.
Yeah.
I might have been like 15, 16. Yeah. And haven't seen it since.
Wow.
However, the number that they end up bidding is not enough to buy the U.S. Knicks.
The U.S. Knicks, yeah?
The
United States Knicks. They might as well be America's team.
Mm-hmm. New York is the United States as far as these movies are concerned.
I'm sleepy.
Diggins, with as much as you get me on pedantry, I had to come in over the top there. And was it a little much? Absolutely.
Sleepy.
Was it a little much? Absolutely. Do you deserve it? No. So, there you go.
As long as we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Diggins can't get out of Olympic fever. So every basketball and baseball team is just the United States Yankees.
He just couldn't believe Jalen Brunson wasn't on the team.
Yeah.
Can either of you tell me the precise value of the New York Knicks as estimated in 2023?
Okay. I have a number.
Yeah,
I want Nando to go first, though, because I think my number is like solid.
Mine seems high.
Now you have a floor on this because, as I said, the money that they end up bidding is not enough.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Even.
I'm going to say this feels so high because I know how high sports teams kind of cost. Although sometimes it like changes if the team is like successful, and sometimes it changes if they just have some sort of sentimental value. Like they could trick a bunch of New Yorkers every year into, believing that they matter. So I'm going to say the Knicks are the higher tier. I'm going to say $3 billion.
Okay.
So I believe because the Knicks are a little special case because like James Dolan is a lot wrapped up in MSG, and there's just like a lot of different assets that go into it, especially with Madison Square Garden. I thought it was something like $6 billion. Like it is a truly insane number. But we'll see if I look like a fool.
The franchise value of the New York Knicks in US dollars in 2023 is $6.6 billion.
Wow.
Boom!
Yeah.
Boom!
Now, are they the most expensive individual sports team?
I don't know.
I think the Yankees are technically valued higher. The Cowboys are way up there. They're definitely the most expensive NBA team. But it's like the Yankees or the Cowboys are also some like astronomically high number.
That makes sense.
Now, if it makes you feel better, Nando, DJ also did better on the summary.
What? Oh no! I have to remember.
I didn't say.
This is gonna be bad. What was the real summary?
So the actual summary was Mike, a down-to-earth construction worker, is thrust into the world of super spies and secret agents when his high school sweetheart, Roxanne, recruits him into a high-stakes U.S. intelligence mission. DJ did pretty good. He had Mike, you didn't say down-to-earth, but generally that construction worker. You had high school sweetheart, you named her Roxanne, recruits into a mission. You got a lot of stuff. Yeah. So yours wasn't bad, Nando, but DJ's did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is probably one of the better IMDb summaries we've read in quite some time.
Like I said, they did a good job assembling these scraps of paper. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, well, that means that I get to tell everyone what I thought of the Union.
That's right. You lucky duck.
What did I think of the Union? Guys, this movie, honestly, it's not bad. I didn't hate this movie. It is definitely we're at vanilla paste tier of like these spy Netflix action movies, but I didn't think there was like anything incredibly offensive about it. It's probably 20 minutes too long, and it's way too cute by half with some of the twists, and there's like some big holes in the end. Like there's a point, it's not a spoiler, we see the trailer, like J.K. Simmons is like the boss of the Union, and there's a thing with him. He's gone, and then he's there at the end of the movie. It's like
to go film that Santa Claus movie for Netflix that The Rock kept being late to or something. So
that's right.
His schedule was a disaster.
Really messed up. They couldn't even zoom him in. Just like nothing. I went back, and this is the beauty of like VOD. I could like check myself, be like, wait, did I pass out? But it's like, no, they just took him out of the last third of the movie. Yeah. Whatever. But like, I don't think it's like terribly offensive. There are some choices that, look, I'm not like defending this movie as like a good movie, but I think it's like an enjoyable action popcorn like flick. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, you got a Friday night, you got Netflix, you want to watch some kind of dumb action movie? Watch The Union. It's a dumb action movie. And I think it mostly achieves its goal. But yeah, there are some choices that are bad and that we'll nitpick and we'll talk about. Like when they just get into the racist past of Mark Wahlberg's father, It didn't need to be there at all, but they chose to. Sorry. Not Mark Wahlberg's father. Mike's father. Mike's fictional father.
No, they don't. They don't sit down and go, that Mark Wahlberg guy from TV. I think his dad's a real racist.
I mean, I feel like we can make some assumptions about Mr. Wahlberg, given how his children turned out.
I am not accusing any Wahlberg of racism. Just Mike's fictional father.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a fine action movie it's probably the worst action part about it is like there isn't like enough action. Like there are some like good stunts, but like probably like too much like shoot bang bang. Although there is some hilarious like we'll talk about it, but like assemble all the guns moment, and it's like legitimately funny. I don't think they were going for funny, but it is like funny. Some of the places they pull guns out of, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's what I thought about the Union. Nando, what did you think about the Union?
Oh, it stinks. It's the worst. It's like the worst kind of movie, I think, because it's just so fucking boring. Like, I just hate a movie like this where, and you know, it's just like, it's so hard. I think, first of all, Mark Wahlberg as the main guy just does not help me like this movie at all. And I think this is one of those movies that like can kind of get by on the charm of its star, or is really actually banking on that. And because it's Mark Wahlberg, it just doesn't work. I also think Halle Berry's weird in it though, and I usually like her. So that's not, I wouldn't say that this is the movie's problem generally, is that all the actors are bad in it or something. But I feel like this is just, I don't know. This movie took me 3 sittings to watch because I kept starting it and getting so bored that I had to turn it off and then go do something else. Like
Wow.
Yeah, just the beginning, and I think the end and middle too, but mostly the beginning are so it's just so boring. And it's like one of any of these movies where like the characters just don't have anything going on between them. And because of that, I don't care about anything that happens. And you know what else? Not to get too specific, like get into too many specifics, but it's one of those movies where like the first Mission Impossible, I think, has this, other movies do, but like what they're after isn't even something that endangers me directly, like it's the knock list, it's a list of spies. So it's like, I can't even get into the whole maybe I'll get killed by a nuclear warhead thing. There's no stakes at all. If they're going to kill anybody, they're going to kill 50 other Mark Wahlbergs somewhere in the world, and good riddance. But as far as I'm concerned, this movie has no, like, there's just nothing to get you interested. I do think it like looks okay, but like, man, it's just so like dull and fine in a way that I just find so uninteresting. And I don't think it's the worst one of these they've made. I do think that like Heart of Stone, which I've watched and we haven't done for the podcast, but the one with Gal Gadot, is the worst direct to streaming spy movie that one of the streamers has made in the last like 2 or 3 years. But I do think this is like maybe just above that in terms of like, if I can even get any enjoyment out of it whatsoever, versus like Red Notice, which I also don't think is very good, but I do think is at least kind of something. And that's saying something because I really don't like Red Notice very much. Diggins, what did you think of this movie?
I think DJ's out of his mind.
Because man.
Movie's terrible. Yeah, it's really boring and charmless and just zero fun to watch.
Is this my Mark Wahlberg bias? Because I kind of like Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry.
You feel threatened by him because he might jump into your bedroom and knock the equipment out of your hands so that he can do the podcast. And
you're just trying to stop
him.
You're just trying to stop him from knocking you out again. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Luckily, we are in the waking hours of the day. So he is asleep because he's going to wake up at night to do rise and grind and ice baths and whatever the fuck he does. So right. It's not,
0% chance Mark Wahlberg shows up on this podcast. There's just, he's not going to show up.
It's never going to happen, guys.
It's not.
So
but it's actually not. So no one get excited for it.
Wow. Don't worry, guys. It's definitely not going to happen. 0 Mark Wahlbergs on this pod. That's our guarantee to you, the listener.
What I keep saying.
What would the Merovingian think of this one? Probably wouldn't even like it. He'd probably be like, this movie has no sex on board.
I was going to say, the Merovingian would never show up because this movie's incredibly unsexy.
This might kill the Merovingian. In fact, this is like SpongeBob in Sandy's little, thing. The Merovingian would die from thirst because there's just absolutely no attraction he would die in this movie whatsoever.
Lack of thirst.
Or lack of thirst. That's right. Yeah.
Opening scene, guys. Good. Literally opening scene. Come on. Have some imagination. Anyway.
What?
That can't sustain the Merovingian.
Oh. I mean, it's implied, but anyway, the other reason DJ's out of his mind is because this movie is incredibly offensive to New Jerseyans.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Never has someone tried so little to pander to us.
Yeah.
I think they say one actual New Jersey thing in the entire movie, which he says he's in Patterson.
Excuse you, I have a list. No, it says Disco Fries.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a couple of specifics.
I have a whole
but
list. I have a whole New Jersey list.
As far as places, yeah, he does live in Patterson.
You missed them, Diggins.
No, I'm talking about places.
Oh, places? Oh, sure. Yeah,
I'm talking about specific thing, like I'm from Patterson or
sure.
Otherwise, it's things like I had disco fries. Like, oh man, I love the beach. Oh, we're Jersey, baby.
Since we're emptying the clip, Mark Wahlberg has one line. Oh yeah, that guy is selling hot dogs outside the Rock.
Yep. He has a friend that works at all the planes at Newark Airport.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's so perfunctory. It's very obvious that nobody who wrote this movie has ever set foot in New Jersey. It's like when LA screenwriters try to write a diner in like a New York movie. And you're like, that's not what that is. What the fuck is any of this?
That's a diner in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they don't know. They don't know what it's like. These people never been to New Jersey. Just Googled a bunch of terms. I'm like, what are New Jersey things? Mm-hmm. Newark Airport, disco fries, Patterson, New Jersey,
The Rock.
The Rock.
We love The Rock.
Yeah. I mean, listen, first of all, do you want to... there's two people attached to this movie with screenwriting credits. Excuse me. One of them is British, so that's not a great sign. But so he probably wasn't from Jersey. The other one is Dave
he might be
Guggenheim.
From Jersey. He's not from New Jersey.
Oh, that's true. He could be
that
might be the problem. He wrote the script because Mark Wahlberg was... That's why the whole movie takes place in London. Now it makes sense. Because you're like, why the fuck does he go to London? But the other person, this honestly could be like a regional specific, I don't want to say hate crime, but it's from Long Island. So this might be some sort of vengeance. Yeah. David Guggenheim.
They don't
out here
speak
trying to
for
settle
us.
a score. Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty
They're
gross.
the opposite.
So yeah, DJ, wildly offensive movie, in my opinion.
This is like...
it's boring and it sucks.
I think we can show this to like white people and like explain to them what cultural appropriation is with this. You know, like I think this is as close as we're gonna get to like, if you don't get the dreadlocks thing, here's a picture of Mark Wahlberg eating a big bacon, egg, and cheese on a beam in the middle of the Passaic River, and did you see? And then they'll go, it'll be like that moment where Always Sunny where he cries. And he's like, I do understand now. I understand racism and stuff because, I've never seen any region represented so poorly, I think, in anything. But I don't think there's an actor who could do it worse than Mark Wahlberg either. Yeah. So that really doesn't hurt.
It's so crazy that they took a man who is in the public consciousness incredibly identified by the city he is from and tried to pass him off as from a different region.
Yeah. But it's not that I think the crazy part to me is, like, we've already kind of explained this conceit of the movie is like, he's from, the working class and, the spy comes in and she used to know him, but then he goes to do super spy stuff. So like, you figure if he was from, let's say, LA, maybe. I don't even think LA would work. Beverly Hills. You would go, well, the actor can't be, like, the character can't be from Beverly Hills because that's not where the working man is from. Let's make it from New Jersey instead because that's where the working man is from. Obviously. But Boston certainly isn't that. Like, you could get an average Joe from Boston. I would say it's more of that than New Jersey even is in terms of just movies.
Oh, I agree.
Like,
I agree.
So the fact that he's not from Boston is really weird. But then the part that I find so upsetting and that I find personally offensive is when they go, we need to give you a secret identity, and they make his secret identity a guy from Boston, and he kind of sits for a second and then changes his accent, but doesn't. Like he clearly, in the script, it was like goes from Jersey to Boston, but in reality, he just does the same.
He doesn't talk differently at all.
Yeah.
Even in the scene where it's supposed to be him changing the accent, where it's like, where you could get away with he just does it the once for a joke.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't even do it then.
I feel like I think of everything in terms of like SNL sketches that nobody's seen. But like there was an SNL sketch a while back that was that's not that old, but like it was like Swedish fucking art house play theater or something, and the whole bit was a setup of like someone was saying like, this is a Swedish play that's been recreated with all American accents, and all the actors are Swedish, but you'll never tell because they're all so American sounding, and they all sound like Swedish people and like doing bad American accents. And like I don't know if this is a Mark Wahlberg limitation or just like they filled in all the regional stuff later, but like it's such a nothing attempt at it that it almost feels intentional. Like, you know what? Here's how bad it was. There was a point middle of the way through the movie where I was like, oh, is this like a dream or something? Like, is he from Boston? And this spy persona is obviously his real persona. And then late in the movie, everybody's going to go, well, fucking yeah, we hear you speak, dude. You're the spy. You're not from New Jersey. And you'd be like, oh my God, I'm not from New Jersey.
You thought it was going to be like Argyle.
Yeah, I did. I really did. And like, I don't think it helped that Argyle came out to see her. But like, that was, I think, my, I thought it was going to be something like that just because it was so, and there was a twist, and the twist is stupid. It's barely a twist,
It's
but
really
like,
stupid.
Yeah,
there's one of those instead. But like, if this did I want to say, what was it? Matthew McConaughey, The Fisherman movie level twist where it just completely changed things, I would be like, oh, okay. That's actually kind of awesome. Yeah, I'm talking about Serenity. And I think they could have done that here, but Mark Wahlberg wouldn't allow it because he's Mark Wahlberg. He's just awful in this and sucks.
Yeah, that's true. And Mark Wahlberg is not going to show up to dispute that. Mark Wahlberg will never come here to say how we're wrong about how he sucks and he committed a hate crime that time.
If I could protest in defense of Mark Wahlberg, which I think is fair, right? I understand that like that premise doesn't work, but like I don't think he doesn't work in the movie. Like if it's just supposed to be like oh, average Joe trying to be a spy, and like it's goofy, and like he never turns into Superman, and like I actually really like Halle Berry in this movie. I think she does a lot of work. Like I said, I'd say it was good. I said it's a fine action movie that your cat can watch or you could watch on a Friday night if you had nothing else to do.
That would
this
be
is not me.
Cruelty to animals.
Yeah.
It's not me caping up for like, yeah, guys, The Union is the movie of the summer. Like, I just don't think it's terrible.
No, that's the Shark movie or whatever the fuck. I already forgot what it was called. Shark France.
Yeah.
Under Paris,
right,
yeah.
Right, of course.
I do want to say also, as long as we're talking generally about the movie, I think the blue collar stuff is also like really obnoxious and patronizing. Because it's like, a regular American Joe, construction worker, Mark Wahlberg, and then they kind of be like, the Union is the spy agency where we recruit all the blue collar guys who get stuff done.
They do the work.
Is not a premise that actually ever really comes up in the entire rest of the movie, that everyone else is supposed to be a blue collar guy.
Yeah, you can tell that Mark Wahlberg kind of stands out because he doesn't look like any of the other blue collar guys that are hanging out with him at his job earlier in the movie.
Yeah, they all are like, they look like regular guys. They're well cast. And then there's Mark Wahlberg.
Like, I think the rule for a movie like this is you can't have already played a spy in a movie where you're just a spy. You know, like you can't have done a shooter or something and then do this. And it's like, you see, it's a play on that because that doesn't work. Like this movie is written for like a comedian or something, like a Jim Gaffigan or something like that. Because then he's not a spy. Usually he doesn't rip off his shirt and have abs, but it'd be funny to see him try to do spy stuff. But with Mark Wahlberg, it's like, he's a fucking spy.
When I was looking stuff up on IMDb, they did call it a like spy action comedy. And I was like, comedy? Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't know.
Are you sure about that?
Comedy elements, shades of comedy.
But I think what really, to me, so like in the similar vein to the New Jersey thing, where I'm looking at this and I'm like, this person's never set foot in this state. The blue collar stuff, is very obviously written by a person who's never done a blue-collar job in their entire lives. Not that I have either, but I can still smell a phony because the thing they keep making a big deal about with him and his construction worker blue-collar job is that he walks on those steel beams, right? That he used to walk on the narrow steel beams and it's high up and it's dangerous. They haven't done that for 50 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute, right?
OSHA was founded and they put in much stricter safety standards, and like they do still need to walk on like dangerous places sometimes, but they're much better supported. They're not narrow steel beams, and they have harnesses and things so that if they do fall, they're still safe.
That's why it's so weird when it happens in the movie as part of the action. He says like, oh, my foreman would never let you get on a beam like that. And it's like, we saw you on the beam just fucking sitting eating lunch earlier. Like, so yes, he would. Or this foreman doesn't exist. Like, yeah, it's a bad movie. Mark Wahlberg's bad in it. And he's the reason it's bad.
Halle Berry,
he should go to jail.
Too?
No, I don't think she's doing a terrible job, but it definitely isn't a good Halle Berry performance.
Yeah,
like I've seen good ones, and this
it.
isn't it. I mean, this feels like Die Another Day, which is like my baseline, just like not good Halle Berry performance. Versus like, I don't know, man. What's she been in recently that's not bad?
John Wick 3.
No,
sure,
he said it's not bad.
She was okay in John Wick 3.
Hush.
I didn't
Hush.
I didn't love her in that, but I feel like what has she done recently that's good? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's probably cashing checks at this point, which good for her.
Moonfall.
What
she was in
doing.
Moonfall.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Right.
Yeah, she's like the female lead in Moonfall.
Totally forgot about that.
I don't know. I know she's a good actor. Not just because she won an Oscar, but like I just know she is. But I don't have any proof.
I know Halle Berry's a good actress. I can't figure out why, but I know
she was in Kingsman:
like
The
Monster
Golden Circle,
Ball.
guys.
Yeah, she was in Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Yeah. But that movie came out forever ago at this point.
And she was in Swordfish. I did not realize this.
We got to do Swordfish one day.
Yeah, Swordfish is great. But in Swordfish, she's like a super hacker or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And then in Kingsman, she's a super hacker or whatever the fuck. In both movies, her character's name is Ginger. And I wonder if that's supposed to be a thing. Like you're supposed to be like, oh, this is like a movie that like the Swordfish kind of take place in the Kingsman verse by association. Yeah. But I'm sure she's a good actor. I just cannot. I don't know. Kidnap, is that any good? I haven't seen that, but maybe that. I don't know. Like she's okay in those X-Men movies, but like they really didn't know what to do with her. The Call, remember that? Where she's like a 911 operator. That one's probably good. That seemed good. Better than this. Like she could do like A Die Another Day is the very like schlocky action one-liner thing, and that's what this is. And I don't think it's well written, so that stuff's boring. But I think she could do it if she had to. Like, I think John Wick is a good example of that. Like, I didn't leave John Wick going like she wasn't very good in that. I was like, she did the job. She
knew the assignment, right?
She seemed to be friends with John Wick and had those dogs, and like, you know, but with this, it was just everything felt so forced. I mean, J.K. Simmons is maybe the worst part for me because he's doing something so specific that it doesn't fit any of this. But he's the one that I think I know can act because I've seen him act before.
I know this man can act. I've seen it for myself.
He's acting now. He's acting in this. So it's like, well, don't they all have Oscars? Has Mark Wahlberg not gotten an Oscar?
Been nominated. He's never won.
Okay.
He's never gotten the brass ring.
He's close. Maybe for this, you know, we haven't seen this year play out yet. There's still time.
Unlike Silent Hill Ascension, he's never won the top award in his field.
Wow. What a weird... I'm sorry, I don't like to use that word anymore improperly. What an interesting choice to bring out Diggins.
Well, they just won an Emmy, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. So,
oh wow, okay, you know,
what is Silent Hill Ascension?
It was that weird like video game, but not really a video game thing where they just played cutscenes and people could vote on what they wanted to happen.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
it was really, really bad.
That was weird. Yeah,
and it's Emmy winning now.
Well, good for them. Someone's got to win. And
someone's got to win.
Someone's got to lose. I lost. Let me do the summary for this thing before we go through the entire wheel.
Your punishment.
Okay. So I don't think there's anything in the very beginning, but if there is, oh no, there is. There's a spy mission where all the main characters that are actors that you'd recognize are standing around, and a bunch of extras in spy makeup and stuff are doing a spy mission. It's in a hotel.
Barely in spy makeup.
Yeah, that's true. They're kind of like, they do that thing where they transform from like wearing a waiter's outfit to wearing a big black, leather thing and whatever. But they really are just running around through a hotel. And at one point they like point their gun at like a cleaning lady and they're like, whoa, and she's like, oh, okay. But like they were going to leave there, let these people live. And then these people were just going to go, I think there was like a spy thing going on here. So I don't know, just fucking storm the place in your spy outfits. Who gives a shit? This isn't the White House. Anyway, so they go to get a guy. He's part of some sort of thing. It doesn't matter. But like, there's a special operation to get him. Halle Berry is coordinating the operation. Like we said, she plays a character named Roxanne. She's part of the spy agency. You could tell because she has anime protagonist hair. It's insane considering this actor is like 50 or something. But whatever. She could pull it off. It's just an insane look. In this movie, J.K. Simmons is her boss. He wears a hat because he's a blue-collar man, although that hasn't been established yet. But they're all doing this mission. Mike Coulter, Luke Cage, if you have seen those things, and pretty much nothing else. But, I don't know, he's in that Evil show, I think, or something. He's in the spy mission, along with a bunch of extras and stuntmen, and then everyone dies, including him. His death is different from everybody else. He gets shot, falls off a bridge. But the whole thing is it's a botched mission. There's explosions and they knew they were coming or whatever. There's a spy. The guy that they were trying to get gets taken from them by some guys in a van. It doesn't matter. But the whole spy mission went bad.
The Onceler again.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Oh my God. Is this Trap? You got him. We never find out, technically all the people. So Trap could be involved. So that happens. And like I said, this is in like England or something. I don't remember if this one's
Trieste.
also in London. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's overseas, because
Italy.
that's not America. Then we cut to America where Mark Wahlberg is having sex with, he just had sex with, because this is probably in his rider somewhere. Like every Mark Wahlberg movie needs to start with Mark Wahlberg just having sex with someone. And it's his high school English teacher. But like he's an adult and she's an adult now, still. But
yeah, it wasn't a crime or anything. It wasn't
not a crime.
Like, any kind
In fact,
of sex predator
he even
stuff.
asked her, he's like, did you groom me? And she's like, no. And then that's good. It's good to know.
That's true. They do have that conversation.
Yeah. He pulls out the little laminated sheet from Transformers 4 or whatever and looks up that state specific laws. But anyway, so he goes to the so he goes to have sex with her. He has sex. It's great. But then he's kind of like this setting him up as like a burnout, or like he's, still living at home and everybody else moved on except for everybody he knows, which is a lot of people, but still it doesn't matter. He's, he just doesn't have a real life. He doesn't have a cool life of a spy. He has a life of a normal man with a lunch pail who eats on top of a big girder, and he goes to bars and looks at guys and goes, hey, whatever. Mom lives in a house. He's in, I think we determined it was in Patterson.
Yeah,
and
he says that at one point.
Yeah. And, so New Jersey, that's Mark Wahlberg. He sounds like he's from Boston.
Yeah.
Everybody in these scenes sounds like they're from Boston. I don't understand this bit at all, but it's
also,
like,
definitely not filmed in Patterson, to be clear.
yeah.
Oh, 100%. Oh my god.
See, part of me thought they filmed it in like Bayonne or something, but not Boston, but not Patterson. Because like, I don't think they could have the gall to film this scene in Boston and then just have everybody say, look at us, beautiful New Jersey day. There's the Chesapeake Bay or whatever, just like random, completely non-New Jersey things. But, it could have been Vancouver, I guess. I don't know. It's got, it's New Jersey because every character says, what a beautiful New Jersey day. And also, whenever we're not looking at main characters or they're talking, Bruce Springsteen is playing. Yep. And he's everywhere. If you, just open your ears for 1 second in the state, you hear him. Good for him. He got paid. But yeah, so he's, so this guy has this job. he goes to a bar with some friends. He's got a wedding coming up. That's something that gets mentioned. But not his wedding, someone else's wedding. He's the best man.
His buddy,
like
Ronnie.
Yeah, he hangs out with a bunch of schlubs, some schlubby New Jersey guys that kind of look like, they'd all be the friend on a sitcom, but he's Mark Wahlberg, and he also looks like a good 10 years older than all of them, but whatever. It's because Mark Wahlberg looks like an old man trying to be young, and they just look like adults, but whatever. He meets Roxy. So Roxy shows up at this bar and she's like, hey, Mike, me and you used to have sex a lot back in the day because we were dating in prom and stuff, but now we're not dating and you haven't seen me in a while. And they just flirt a lot. And it's very clear that like something happened in their relationship where it ended, but like they've still obviously got this chemistry that they keep talking about and never showing. But they go to a hill and look at each other and they're like, hey, if we were still here and not having, our own lives, wouldn't we be a great couple or whatever? And then she tranquilizes him with the dart and he falls down the hill and breaks every bone in his body. And then he gets put in a little bin by some guys and then put into a truck or something and whisked off to merry old England, which is where the movie takes place. Inexplicably, because like I said, he's not from there. Nobody's from there. She doesn't have an English accent. She sounds like Halle Berry, who I assume is from California or something. I just kind of default assume every actor is from California if they don't sound like Mark Wahlberg. But yeah, nobody's doing the New Jersey thing in this movie. She's from Cleveland. Okay, yeah. Nice, good for her.
To be double clear, not only are they all Americans in the movie, but they're also specifically an American agency.
Yes, yeah.
Operating in London, based in London for no reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that I think about it, is there a single British person on this team? The guy that's Mr. Echo who beats him up, he's doing an American accent, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that actor is not. He traditionally would have an accent that's something that's not American, but for whatever reason, yeah, he does. And if you're like, how sure are you that this takes place in London? Maybe they're just working there, but this isn't their headquarters. Well, no, because when we go to London, Halle Berry shows them around town. And she's like, see that building over there? And he's like, what's that? And she's like, what's that? And he's like, I don't know, the CN Tower. And she's like, no, it's the BN Tower or something. And it's this big fucking plasticky looking building in the middle of London, the tallest building in the skyline. And it is all apparently headquarters for the Union, this spy organization that's 8 people, but also it's a building. And it's, like we said, it's the spy agency that half the spies don't know exists and half the spies don't want to know exists or something like that. It's Kingsman because this movie's kind of doing some Kingsman stuff. But you're like, why would he even be in it? Why have they recruited him for this at all? We learn J.K. Simmons, who's the boss, who's like he's a real hardworking guy who wears a little baseball cap and stuff. Says they're worried there's a mole in the organization or something, and they're selling secrets. So Halle Berry needed someone she could trust, and that's Mark Wahlberg. And they're also
not worried about a mole yet, but the thing that got stolen is the list of every intelligence operative in the entire world. A list that they just had, I guess.
Yeah, and like it was it's part of a thing where like we know there's a spy because it's a movie, but there's a point later where J.K. Simmons will say, I don't think there's a spy, but he says it in a really specific way. But it's like, I still think he didn't know. Like, the movie's bad, but whatever.
He says it in a way that's meant to make us think that he's the spy, honestly.
Right. Yeah. And it's dumb. What was I going to say? Oh, but then, okay. So he goes to, so he goes to the spy organization. J.K. Simmons is there. They're like, okay, this is the Union. It's called the Union. And you're like, oh, Union like Union Jack? Because we're in London. Is that what this is? No. Union like Union. Like blue-collar working unions. Now, unions are for everything now these days. But back in the day, you're associated with like a Teamsters kind of thing. And that's what this whole deal is. These are not the James Bond super spies. These are the men behind the scenes who you don't even notice who get the work done. And to demonstrate that, we have Halle Berry, the most conspicuous person on Earth. J.K. Simmons in like this little cap And
a
then
big bushy Santa Claus beard.
Big bushy Santa Claus beard from the Santa Claus movie he was filming between scenes. And then
he had to have that because The Rock could walk in at any moment.
Yeah, and they never knew
to do the scene, and they had to take advantage of those times when he actually showed up.
Quick, put Mark Wahlberg back in his cryo bath. We need to do a Rock scene now. But yeah, they do this. The team is right. So it's these guys, Mr. Echo. I don't know this actor's name. But the guy from Lost, he's like the guy that trains them. There's what's the like computer person's name?
Foreman.
Oh, no, not him. The other one.
The one who dies.
The one who dies. Yeah.
She's
a name that they scream a couple times and she dies.
Alice?
Maybe
Alice.
Maybe Alice. But there's another one. She's like young and like Korean, which is a thing that we'll get to.
Yeah,
but
that's very important.
Yeah, very important. But she's there, and then Foreman, played by Jackie Earle Haley. What's his name? Rorschach and stuff.
Athena, the actress is Alice Lee.
Athena.
The character is
there
Athena.
You go. Yeah. So like the Foreman. So sticking with the theme of union, this man was I remember this really well, kind of a computer guy who did so much good, automation for Amazon, a company that gets name dropped so many times in this movie. But he made half the staff redundant or something like that. So now he works for the union.
Well, he claims, because I guess they realized that this would sound bad otherwise, that he made half the managerial staff redundant. Which is a ridiculous thing to say because all managerial staff is redundant to begin with.
Yep.
And if you make any efficiencies, they're not the ones who get fired.
Yeah, that part is very strange. What was I going to say? Does this character have like a first name or is he just the Foreman?
No, Foreman's not even his name. It's just a title. They say he's just the Foreman.
Gotcha. So that's good. Like, kind of, it's weird because this movie could be, like we said, like, because Jackie Earle Haley, it's like a normal looking man. You could convince me that he actually has a job that's not actor. But everybody else here, besides J.K. Simmons, looks like an actor. So it doesn't work. But, like, if you just had Jackie Earle Haley's, I'd buy it. Anyway. So they go do missions. They have to get a phone because they need to get in an auction to buy the spy list or whatever. Mark Wahlberg goes to get the phone. First, they train him and stuff, and they train him in all the ways of spies, which is shooting, driving, running into a building, and then not falling off the building because of trust. It's a really dumb exercise, but it's in all the trailers. So if you've seen the trailers, you see what's going on.
Yeah, I think we did an extended bit on that one when we saw the trailer.
Yeah, it makes no sense in the movie, and even in the trailer, it's like you can pretty much see through it. But during all of this, Roxanne and Mike are getting closer and closer, but also that's what they say because I'm watching it and they're not, but whatever. He's driving and he'll go like, wow, good driving, huh? And she'll go like, yeah. And you're like, all right. And I say, I can read that page of the script on your faces, but I can't see it somehow. But yeah, so they go do this mission. It's just a really simple, like walk into a place, give them $1 bazillion, and then they give you a phone. But as they leave, they get attacked by 30 minutes of action scenes or something. It fucking goes on forever. But ends with them doing a big fight scene. The phone they got, which is their key to the auction, getting destroyed. And then it's like somebody knew we were coming here. Because there's so many teams. There's like a team that finds them and then another team that finds that team or something. But yeah, they think they have a mole. I do think at this point, this is when J. Jonah Jameson is like, there's nobody in this room that I don't trust. And you're like, but is there someone that was from IMDb that's an actor who isn't in this room anymore? But whatever. It doesn't matter. They decide they have to go steal another person's phone. So they do that. They go and just murder some guys and take their phone. Another gigantic action scene all over, like rooftops and getting in cars and driving around. Lots of jumping, shooting.
No, not this
I don't
one.
know,
This
man.
one, they really do just like walk up to their beds and shoot them.
But don't they have an action scene after this? Isn't there an action scene to leave this place?
I don't.
God,
believe
I forgot.
So?
Yeah, you're probably right. There's so much of this movie is just like a bunch of stuff happens that I could be convinced it happens in any order. But yeah, they get the phone. That's the only important thing. There may or may not be an action scene, but none of the action scenes have any consequences. I guess, is this the scene where Athena gets killed or whatever? Probably that, right? Because I think that's at night.
That's what you're thinking of.
Because they keep getting like, you know, at every corner there's something. So, and then their fucking building explodes. That's what happens in this scene. Yeah, the fancy tower that was real. And you're like, oh, is J. Jonah Jameson dead? He's not, but he calls them and he's like, I didn't die. So then they have to go to underground location, which is everybody's there except for Athena. But, you know, a CIA guy is like, all right, well, here's what we're going to do. Now that you guys have the phone, we have to stake you for this auction. And you're going to go to the auction and we're going to keep bidding. So we're going to spend all the CIA's real money. And if we don't, then win the auction or get the thing, then we're going to fund millions and millions of terrorism dollars. I think it gets up to like 500 million or something like that. So it's like a lot, but you know, like you said, not Nick's kind of money. And while this is going on, also, Mark Wahlberg,
even if they win the bid, they don't have to pay.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
It's like when they're doing this
at some point.
Well, when they do this building or this bidding, it is like them looking at a little screen and going like 400 million, and then they press it and then it goes. But yeah, I assume this isn't just taking their Bank of America routing number. So like, I feel like there's more to it than that for evil spy. I mean, it's probably like millions of crypto, like on the money plane. In fact, because I have it going now, there's a little app that has the bidding going on that has a little gavel button that you hit to make your bid, which is not how bidding works in an auction. It's a little flipper that you hold up. You don't take the gavel from the auctioneer and bang it.
You're not the one with the gavel. It's not.
Yeah. They really fucked it. I mean, maybe you are in London where they don't have blue collar Americans like us, but
jolly old London town.
Yeah. it's pretty, that part's pretty dumb. But while they're doing this, Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry are on a motorcycle trying to track them because, you know, they're doing computers to triangulate the location. They find it. They find the woman in charge. She's somebody. We've never met her before, but she's like some British lady. And they just get her. They're like, you're doing the auction, right? And put a gun next to her. And then she takes them to her house where
she's just doing the auction at a rooftop bar by herself.
Yep. And like, a busy rooftop bar and doing the auction by speaking into a phone like, that's 400 million, anyone for 500 million. And like, there's a bartender there, but there's no security because these guys are just able to walk up and get her. So I don't know. I guess this is like a fucking Starbucks kind of where anybody just shows up with their phone and their laptop and does $1 billion auction. But we will learn that she was kind of trying to get caught, but still it's insane because like this is one of those movies that's kind of badly written. So like things that are done badly on purpose versus things that are done badly because they're done badly they look the same. But whatever. So they're there. They like have her give them this list because she has it in her refrigerator. But then the guy played by Luke Cage shows back up and he's like, hey, the union's bad. J.K. Simmons is bad. I'm a good guy. I didn't die. I pretended to die, kind of, or something. But I've been in hiding, and now you could trust me because I'm your ex-husband. So you should give the list to me or whatever. That part doesn't matter. But Mark Wahlberg's like, wait a second, you have an ex-husband? And then she's like, well, first of all, we were separated. Second, I thought he was dead. This guy is kind of a jerk to Mark Wahlberg, but Mark Wahlberg is more of a jerk to him. But also, you know, it's very clear at this point he's the bad guy. So the movie's like, you're supposed to think he's kind of a jerk. And he doesn't really fully convince Halle Berry to like work with him, but this causes a schism between the team members. And they get this fancy, you know, briefcase with the knock list in it. And, they give it to the CIA. That's the plan. But then when they're on the bridge about to give it to the CIA, they get a phone call from Luke Cage. And he's like, by the way, I'm the bad guy. I'm on a plane. Fuck you. You're going to get arrested. And then they jump off the bridge into a random passing freighter, London. And they're good now. So they don't go to jail. Mark Wahlberg calls his buddies who are having this bachelor party. I mean, it's the same buddies. The bachelor party thing was a little earlier, but he's missing the bachelor party to do union stuff. This is bullshit. But then he calls one of them and he's like, hey, I need you to get me on a flight to Istanbul or whatever. I don't know, somewhere else. Where did they go, Diggins? Okay. Is that a real place?
Yeah, it's a place in Croatia. It's actually right next to Trieste. So it's
double dipping here by then.
Yeah, it feels like they didn't want to film in more than one location.
They spent all their money on that New Jersey beam. You guys remember when they were putting that up the other day, right? Like, and we could all see it because it was so high.
Single beam on top of
one
that
big old
that
beam.
hill. Yep.
Yeah. Because like when I saw him working on this working construction job, I was like, well, this isn't a real job. But also I was like, well, there are all those big things that lift things in the background. Those, you know, like, what would you call those? Like shipping container, you know, like fields that we're known for in New Jersey. And part of me was like, oh, is that his job? Because that's a job. But no, it's not. He is a construction worker. Because that's one of the jobs that a Lego person can have. So, you know, it works in this. Also, J.K. Simmons has gotten arrested. It doesn't matter, but he's like kind of getting interrogated or something.
It really doesn't matter. The movie forgets.
It explains where he is for this part of the movie, but it doesn't matter because now Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg have to go get the list. This is the big giant chase scene. It turns out, by the way, part of the like, fuck you guys, I'm on the plane, you guys are about to die, is Luke Cage telling us that he was secretly working with the auctioneer and she tricked them and switched the cases. So they're actually doing the real selling of the thing. And then she switched the cases by like picking it up and putting the other one on the thing. If anybody turned around for a second, they'd be like, what? And if they were
not
spies
even doing
and they
fast, it's so ponderous.
And if they were even a little bit perceptive, I'm like, wait a second, it would be filled with like little, you know, dollar bills or whatever. I don't know, like, but whatever, it's fine. Because they find these guys and Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg find them. They again become closer than ever because of this experience. And then another 40 minutes of just running around and shooting people in this fancy, you know, city. Car chases. Seems like Mark Wahlberg dies in car chase, but he doesn't. But Halle Berry stops to save him because she loves him so much or something. Luke Cage doesn't like do anything. Like he just fully gets caught. But then there's a lot of bits where Luke Cage is like on a dock being like, but if you don't kill me, we could take this and sell it and have money and live our lives. And it's like Halle Berry already doesn't like you, but also beyond that, like she has just a gun pointed at him and he just doesn't even point his gun at her. It's like he gets shot and it makes sense why he does. But also it's like you could just shoot him minute one. Who gives a shit? The movie's almost over. I guess it doesn't matter. They go to the wedding. Halle Berry shows up and then they get recruited by J.K. Simmons, who is now out of jail so that they can do more union stuff because that is Mark Wahlberg's job now and nobody cares. Or I guess he told his friends this, right? He was like, they don't just let you do, you know, international travel via freight plane if you ask him nicely and don't go, by the way, I'm a spy. So
he does tell his friend, his buddy who works in Newark.
Yeah.
He does tell him all that stuff. And the guy's just like, you're such a fucking kidder.
Right. But yeah, he'll still.
Also, did you know that frequently cargo holds in planes are not pressurized and you'll suffocate and die?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet DJ's got about to say something so fun and cool.
I hope the union didn't get to him and like make his microphone all quiet so that he couldn't say it.
No, sorry, yeah, the union is really part of this. No, Dickens, they specialize it so that you can do those things. Yes,
I mean some of them are. It's not like a uniform thing, but many of them aren't.
Yeah,
this one was Dickens. Come on, don't.
Well, it's a good thing that his buddy in Newark made sure of that beforehand.
Well, no, so Mark Wahlberg is a man of the people who works on beams up in the sky, so he's used to different altitudes and pressures and such. He doesn't need to worry about pressurization, oxygen. Yeah, I mean, clearly, we've seen Mark Wahlberg. Oxygen, he could survive without it if he had to. You know, what's it
He
gonna
doesn't
do?
need so much of that stuff going up to the brain part, you know?
Yeah, his brain's gonna shut down. How would we know? But also the credits of this movie, by the way, the weirdest credits I've ever seen.
Oh, what is it? Like, what is it actually?
So it's pictures of Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry both being themselves like in high school, and then
But
because they were both famous at the same time, having met a couple of times and been friends in real life. A couple of pictures of them as much younger people, but not as their characters from this. Like very clearly, Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg.
Like as if this movie was based on like the pre-existing famous friendship between Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry that we're all very invested in.
That, or as if Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry died right before it got released or something. And this was supposed to be like, didn't you love them? Remember when she was a cheerleader and he wore like fucking stupid, like dressed like the, Marky Mark Funky Fresh era Mark Wahlberg. Not like cool looking Mark Wahlberg like now. But yeah, that's at the end of the credits for some reason. And that's the end of the movie. And if there's anything in the middle that you're confused about, just, fill the blanks in with Red Notice or Ghosted or whatever. It's all the same. They probably have similar sets. There's only one other actor that's important, and I don't know who he is, but the CIA guy I feel like is supposed to be somebody, right? You ever recognize this guy?
I don't think I recognize him.
I don't think I did either.
Name?
But CIA guy. CIA Putz. I don't know.
CIA Putz. If only he had a cooler name.
He sucks.
I don't think he was anything. I don't think he's like
CIA.
a big famous actor. He might be like a character actor you've seen before.
Yeah, that must be it. But yeah, it's as far as famous people, it's mostly Halle Berry, Mark Wahlberg, and J.K. Simmons. Yeah, the end. Like I said, most watched movie of the week, so there'll be like 0 sequels inexplicably.
Red Notice 2 is coming any day now, Nando.
That is coming.
As soon as they get The Rock to show up on set, it's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be tricky because Red 1 is also gonna be a huge success, and that one you just make Red 2. It's much easier of a sequel pitch. So, like, what will The Rock want to spend his time with? But yeah, I don't know. This movie stinks. What do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to get to the wheel?
We should get to the wheel.
I would love the wheel.
All right, let's do a wheel. There are a lot of cars in this movie.
That's right. And much like Fast and Furious, they insist that it's your heart that matters, not whether your engine is better than the other car or not.
Obviously.
Yeah. And now I think about it, have any of these people been in a Fast and Furious?
I don't think so.
No. Maybe Mr. Echo, but the rest of them have not. None of the main characters have. They should be. They fit right in. But yeah, let's spin the wheel. Landed on one of DJ's least inconspicuous extraction ever.
So, the beginning of the movie, you talked about that like hotel scene. I know they're supposed to be union guys, and like so they come in, so it's like, oh, it's like the bellhop and the driver, and they all just kind of like sneak into the hotel, and like that's fine. They do like a little cool sneaky mission, but then they just like turn into their like Black Ops outfits and pull out their assault rifles. And they're like, all right, let's get them. And there's like 5 of them. And I'm like, whoa. I feel like you guys have missed the thread here. This is not how this should work at all. And I just thought that was like very curious.
Well, just a question I had going into this that I didn't realize until the movie tells us this. Like, I said this during my summary, but I'm wondering, like, what did you guys think the Union meant or was supposed to represent when you just saw that this movie was called The Union? That was like a trailer, like in the title and stuff. But like, did you guys also see it as like it's supposed to be the working class, like unions, or?
I mean, when I watched the trailer and stuff, I was just like, oh, they're one of those spy agencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Exists in these movies.
Yeah, and I guess I asked that because DJ's point, like, we'll see later that this is supposed to be just the regular Joes, and that's their one advantage over regular spies is they don't look like spies, which, like, regular spies also don't look like spies. You can't pretend that like James Bond's a real guy. So I don't know what it thinks I'm watching. But also, part of spying is dressing up like you work at the place so you can get through the front door. Like, they didn't invent this. And I'm pretty sure that guy with the big giant, like muscles and stuff isn't a real bellhop there. So I don't think the union thing works as it's intended.
I don't think I think other than J.K. Simmons saying it that one time, I don't think it ever is actually part of any of this.
Well, except that one scene where they pull all the guns out of the special little places they hid them because they're all fun union workers.
Right, but that's not them. That's the bad guys, right?
No. Those guys are on their side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because there's like a shootout, right? Like there's two sides.
And that's what they pull it out of like a telephone pole or whatever. It's because they're all union, right? They're union.
Do you think if I just like was walking by and happened to open that telephone junction box,
right?
Yeah,
I just find a gun? In the UK, where that's actually very regulated.
Yeah,
you think so, right? Because like we're like what we're describing, there's like this scene where like, yeah, you're right. They do like union, and then a guy opens up, like a guy is pushing a garbage can, and then he pulls a giant assault rifle out of the garbage can. But also, like Halle Berry is standing next to, what are those things called? Like those boxes with just electricity and shit. They're everywhere. You know what I'm talking
Transformers?
about? Yeah, but there's a name for them. They're called like pole boxes or something like that. DJ, you're like a technology person. You don't know what these are? People like decorate them, and you paint them, and it's a whole thing in certain cities. But whatever it is, like,
not like
it's that.
Okay,
It's
like transformer boxes, right?
There's a name for it. Let's see if I can find it.
Like Steven, the name is Steven.
He said there's a name for it. The name is Steven.
Okay. There is like, I don't remember. But there's a name for whatever these are. I'm sure people in cities that have lots of them recognize it. Maybe it's just
the
a Philly
Discord
thing.
is on fire right now. They're just typing it in the chat. They're like, "Come on, guys."
Let me Google electrical boxes in street.
No notes. It's perfect.
We're just reading a whole page on Mario Kart traps as we speak.
Okay.
Like, why don't they just like put them there, right? Like,
So there's this is a Quora I'm looking at now.
The world's most reliable source.
Obviously, Dickens, come on.
So they're
no one knows that.
I promise there's a name for them, but they're
I believe you. I just
like electrical boxes. Anyway, yeah. So basically what I'm getting at is like this guy who was there as guy with trash can was just there as union guy to push around a trash can, and then if union stuff started to whip his giant gun out of it. When Halle Berry goes to the electrical box, she opens it up, and then a machine gun falls out. But then there's also electrical box stuff in it. So it seems like before they went in, they just opened up all the shit, like boxes, and just shoved machine guns in there and locked them. And then I guess if they didn't need to do union stuff, somebody would have to just come back and collect them all, But like, this isn't like a secret fake post box it's used to give, or secret electrical box it's used to give union stuff. It's a regular one that is also holding a machine gun at some points. And I think that's really weird.
Look, the non like spy utilities workers are told just like, hey, you find a gun on your daily rounds or you're doing repair work or something, that's none of your business. Don't even worry about it. So they just keep guns in all of them, and the guys who aren't spies are just like, guess we doing guns now.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I would imagine in America this would make a little bit more sense.
Yes.
Because, you can't trip over a telephone pole without landing in a pile of guns over here.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and we don't do public works, Like there's
those things
those
don't get
in
used.
cities that have never been touched. And I'm sure we have fine union men that are kind of doing some of it, but compared to somewhere like, and you see this, like, I think it's funny because in England, it's not like the greatest place in the world. I think we've all been there, right, Dickens? If you've been to like London,
there,
just like the streets, it doesn't look like this. But it's so clean that you're like, is the Union the reason it's clean? Are they constantly just flooding London with spies that have to, in their spare time, pick up trash and like fix light bulbs and stuff? You know? And we don't have Union guys here, so that's why our trash is everywhere and our light bulbs are all broken. Should we get a Union?
I mean, for those things, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. But this is our union also. This is an American agency.
Yeah, why isn't this set in America is a question I had.
I think because they've watched other spy movies, and other spy movies are usually set in Europe. And so they're like, that's what a spy movie's supposed to do.
Like Ghosted.
Yeah.
And Ghosted has the same shit where it's like a regular American Joe wakes up in England. I mean, he goes to England, but like also wakes up in a different part of the world after that. And he's like, whoa, I'm in a spy thing. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah. Do people, like, what do you think would have happened if this was a successful Extraction, this first one in the movie? Would those people that worked at the hotel be like, think somebody stole a guy?
Right? Yeah, you think there was a kidnapping, right? You call the cops.
Yeah, because like they didn't come in with a warrant or anything. They just pulled in. They just like rolled up, pulled this guy out of his room. He's got a bag over his head, which is not a feature of arrests. Yeah, right, I'd be like, there's some terrorists here kidnapping a man.
Yeah. Honestly, like, this isn't a good movie. I don't think this would have fixed it, but like, just have a couple of hotel workers put him in a fucking, room service tray or something to take him out of here, because they're the blue collar workers and they use that to do their job. They don't just like wear their blue collar thing and then turn into Call of Duty, but that is what they do.
I do love.
Yeah, the whole.
Sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say the whole place explodes and then it doesn't work, so it's like fucked anyway. But yeah,
I was gonna bring up. Yeah, then the van explodes and they're all like running away in like perfect formation with the man who's also running perfectly, even though he's got a bag on his head.
Yeah,
and I love this scene because there's like a sniper. There's like a omniscient flying sniper who can shoot them no matter where they go.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what is that? That's a reference to something I don't know. But that.
What?
What is Messian flying sniper?
Omniscient.
Oh, omniscient. Okay, I thought this was like from Civ 5 or something like that. Where?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying this sniper can see everything and can shoot you from anywhere. Even though logically there must be a position they're in, and given all the streets they go down, they must have lost them.
And also, what we kind of learn is this was Mike Coulter and that one lady, I guess. And Mike Coulter is part of it, so he can't be doing it. So was this just that one lady?
Well, she does have goons, it turns out.
Yeah, I guess that's true. She's got guys.
But anyway, while they're running in formation, sometimes the sound of a sniper bullet will happen, and then one of them trips and falls on the floor. And watching the movie, you'd be like, oh, they tripped. They should get back up. Because that's not what a person looks like when they get shot in the head by a sniper.
Yeah, I guess, like, maybe they're just really good at getting shot, Maybe they get shot and know because of union training to, like, suck up the bullet and die, but so it still looks like a bunch of bartenders and, package delivery men all got shot in the middle of the street. Nobody would care about them. They're not spies.
That's right.
It's just a random day in London.
That must be it. That must be why this scene looks so bad. You're right.
I mean, the other reason this scene looks so bad, and this killed me, is when I started this is, like I said, I stopped and started this movie a lot. First time I started watching it, I was in the living room. Hannah was around and she was like, what's going on in this scene? And I was like, well, all the extras are doing an action scene while Halle Berry is standing around telling them what to do in the action scene. And I do think this movie is one of those, like, look at me, I'm a real actor doing all the stunts. But this scene is the laziest one of those. She's just standing around, running point on the mission, even though J. Jonah Jameson is also in a control room with about as much information as she has, also doing this. But
yeah, I feel like this might be like the worst shot and directed action scene in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess it's good that we're getting it out of the way early.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's that very like Netflixy, like we got to put it. And I mean, this is true of movies in general, but like we got to put an action scene in the beginning of the movie, even though like, assuming anybody wanted to see this movie as opposed to just like put it on, but like if this was something people were seeking out, it could be a fun twist if they sold this as like the Mark Wahlberg is a normal man trying to plan a bachelor party movie, didn't show this bit in the beginning, and you get 15 minutes of Mark Wahlberg bachelor party stuff, and then it turns into a spy movie, because that's what it's kind of supposed to be. But also, who cares? You know, like this movie isn't good, so what's the point? Like,
well, they clearly lost you guys, right?
Yeah.
See, I feel like Netflix is the one place where you could actually do that sort of like switcheroo.
That's true.
Because they don't advertise their movies and just shovel them out. So like if there was some weird hidden gem where you're like, it looks like some shitty Mark Wahlberg comedy, and then you watch it and it's like Mark Wahlberg gets sniped 15 minutes in and it actually is a cool spy movie with other people, you'd be like, oh shit, I had no idea. And like no executive would ever sign off on that because it's impossible to advertise, because that would defeat the point. But Netflix is the one place that could do it because they don't advertise anyway.
That's true. That's true. They have to do the Ryan Reynolds Alpha Cop idea.
Yeah, I was
just
gonna
like
say,
market like a very bad like Alpha Cop movie, then it's like amazing, right?
The problem with Netflix is people would be like, wait, I like Alpha Cop. All the movies on this network are already Alpha Cop. I'm going to watch Alpha Cop, right? And then it'd turn into something slightly more interesting, and they'd turn it off because it's not Alpha Cop.
Yeah, I've turned on a Netflix movie. I'm already all geared up for schlock. Like, you could throw anything at me.
Like, I would say, like, you know, HBO could do it, but I don't even think they could anymore. Although they're the only one of these that I don't think has produced a direct-to-streaming spy movie yet. But even like Apple TV, which I used to think was like kind of the high mark for these, could do that. But then they made Ghosted, so they fucking suck too. Nobody can do it.
It's impossible. No one can do it.
Yeah. You know what they did? Ghosted and Argyle, which I think Argyle is maybe the best shot at this, like making one of these spy movies where a twist does dramatically change the movie, but their marketing for it was just, you'll never believe the twist that dramatically changes the movie. So they fucked that part up too.
True.
Yeah, this movie stinks. Spun the wheel again. Diggins, one of yours. Blue Collar American Freedom. We've already talked about this a little bit, but yeah, let's talk about it. Our American freedoms.
Yeah, there's just like whenever the movie decides that it's about blue collarness again, they go so over the top with it. And my favorite is the first one, when after Mark Wahlberg has a hilarious conversation with his mom. Don't you love his conversation with his mom, guys? Aren't they so funny?
They're so funny.
I can't remember. What was it?
Well, there's a couple.
And the first one is, she's like, you slept with your English teacher? And he's like, how do you know that, Ma? She's like, a mother knows.
Oh, yeah.
Diggins, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Tell me when Ronnie's wedding is. I gotta make my nail tech appointment.
I was ready for her to be in the union. Like, that was going to be a twist. Because he's like, Roxanne? It's like, how do you know? And it's like, they should have recruited you, Mom. It's because they did recruit her because she was in the union. But, like, this movie was way too, like...
No, DJ, your mother just knows these things.
Mother knows, man. Just knows.
But then he goes to work with his buds, and like fucking like Toby Keith starts playing.
Yeah.
And we see them just like doing construction work. They're wearing vests. He's got a welding tool on it. That he's doing. They're sitting on that steel beam eating their lunch, like that famous photo you guys all remember. Doesn't matter that this hasn't happened for 50 years. They're fucking America! Yeah!
Yet after every one of these scenes, or during every one of these scenes, I would believe that a character off screen is stacking boxes and being questioned about a murder. It's that kind of like, oh yeah, these are really people, just you see them everywhere you go. And you know what? I think Mark Wahlberg probably did at least one of those murders in this movie. Like, he doesn't seem like a savory character, if you ask me. But also, I don't think
any
he
of the
plays
victims Vietnamese.
Or that, yeah, not that we know of. Although there is that one scene where, because I was like wondering, if there's a rule with Mark Wahlberg where like he can't do, and this isn't like I've never seen this happen, but part of me during this movie was like, there's so much shooting guys and they fall over. Is it like Mark Wahlberg can't just beat up a guy like a normal person would, because it might remind people of that time he beat up a guy like a normal person, as opposed to like a super spy. But then there's the bit where the guy that he's chasing like falls or something like that. And he just runs up to him and kicks him. Do you guys remember that? It's like later in the movie. And I was like, Mark, I remember this from
the one he hits in the head with a brick?
I mean, this has to be, I think he kills that guy in that moment, right?
Yeah, that guy dies when he hits him in the head with a brick.
No, yeah, this is like I think this is the guy driving the car that he ends up in the trunk of. When he manages to take over, that guy falls onto the ground and then he just runs out and kicks him. And I'm like,
right. The head of the Iranian terrorist cell.
Yeah. That was one joke that almost worked for me. It didn't really, but when Rorschach is introducing everything, all the bad guys doing the bad guy stuff, and he's like, these are the North Koreans, the Saudi Arabians, and then the Icelandics, and then somebody's like, Iceland? And he's like, it's Iran. It's always Iran, right? It's almost funny, but it's still almost a little racist, but it's like almost like there's a joke there, but it's not enough of a joke
in
to
a
work.
More like winking kind of movie,
yes,
where you're making fun of how it's always that kind of stuff in the American action movie because they're the countries you're allowed to say are enemies. That would be funny. This one, it's too sincere.
Yeah, it is too. Yeah, it's too. It would be. Yeah, it'd be funny if it was that. It'd be funny if it was like they were the Icelandics, and they were just getting into it. This was their first one, but they want to be one of those 6 guys in shadow trying to bid on Bane in Batman and Robin. Like they've just that country has had it too good for too long. I don't know. What other blue collar American stuff? Yeah. As everybody's said. Yeah, they're one of those countries that has like a high happiness index, and like as a New Jersey person, fuck them. They shouldn't be able to be happy.
Wow.
That's against the rules. No one should be happier than
What do you got to be happy about? You
think you're better than us, Iceland? Yeah. I'm sorry, that's not how we talk. You think you're better than us, Iceland? Fuck you. You damn Ices.
Fuck you. Perfect movie, no notes.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. Blue collar American freedom. Mark Wahlberg, yeah, he doesn't work in this movie because he's one of those guys. So he has a job. He has a union job, which is a job, and like he lives with his mom, kind of, or whatever. But like it seems like one of those. Yeah, but I could be convinced that he lives with his mom because like. She lives alone, right? His dad's not in the picture.
Oh, so it's like he's doing her a service. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could write the character that way, or at least, or you could just be like, yeah, she lives alone and he doesn't want to pay rent or whatever. I don't know. He's 50, so it's weird, but like, it's not crazy. Like, it's not like Failure to Launch where he lives in the basement and his mom wants to get him out of the house. It seems to be a comfortable relationship for him. But, the movie treats him and like, this character in the script that should be played by Jim Gaffigan or something is written, or like Bert Kreischer is written like everybody looks at him and judges him like, no, you're giving up on all your potential, Mark. You should be somebody. And like, he shouldn't though, right? Like that's a fine person to be. And I know the movie kind of tries to make a point about that later, but it also doesn't, because in the end of the movie, he does fulfill his potential and become a spy. So that's what he should have done all along.
It's true. Yeah, it's like it's part of the whole like weird patronizing thing about it, where it's like it wants to be like, oh, blue collar guys, they're the backbone of this country. They're the guys who get the real work done. All those fancy pants, white collar manager types. They're useless.
That's true. All of that's true.
Yeah.
No lies detected.
But then they're also like, you're wasting your life just staying in New Jersey, working your dead end construction job, Mark Wahlberg. You got to get out there and do stuff. And it's like, which one is it, movie? It can't be both. Now, granted, I do think if you never leave the area of your hometown for your entire life, not even like moving away, but just like visiting somewhere, I think it's a little parochial. Well, you should travel a little if you can.
Yeah.
And he has a good union job. He's probably got money.
Right. Like construction workers.
We know he has no money because at the bar he tells us he has no money. He's broke like all his buddies are broke.
Yeah, where did his money go?
How? Construction, if you're like a union construction worker in an American, like around New York City, you make good money.
Maybe he's bad with money.
That's got to be it, yeah.
Blowing it all on the jets.
Yeah, we're not watching the scene where he goes to the track.
That's his fault then.
Yeah. Yeah, I want like a full, like extra 20 minutes at the beginning of the movie. Just him at that one dog racing track in like, in the Meadowlands, just losing it all. And then, because that would be relatable. And also it'd be like, I guess, he needs money, but also like he doesn't need money because it's weird because we get a point later where someone's like, is this a job? Does this pay you? And Halle Berry says like, yeah, $10 an hour or something, but it's got dental benefits.
And dental.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure he was getting more than that, but also like,
well, she was joking.
What does he get paid? Yeah. Can we find that out? There's got to be online, right? Like average construction worker salary in New Jersey.
Sure. Average construction worker salary, New York City metro area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's like good. Like whatever it is, it's good.
Okay. According to Glassdoor, the average, and like he's 50, so it's probably getting above average, but like 57,000. Additional pay estimated to be like 9,000 a year. Like commission, profit sharing, or whatever. So like, he's making $65,000 a year. He's living at home. Like, what did he buy at some point in his life?
He blew it on the Jets, guys. Look,
he bought the Jets.
He went down to Monmouth Park and he blew it on the horses. He was spent about, three hours there, on the weekends. It's a nice drive. You go see the Jersey Shore. And he just blew it. He just blew all his money. That's what he did.
Now, see, if he did say something about that, like blowing all his money down in Monmouth Park, I'd be like, that's a New Jersey thing. I know that guy. I'm related to that guy.
Diggins is well initiated.
I mean, I'm from near Monmouth Park. I do know that guy.
Oh, man.
But yeah, because this guy is such a down-home American guy, all he does all day is just work and then go get one Budweiser at his local bar. Like,
yeah, that's
I'd like
right.
to see him spend any money, but we can't do that, which is crazy because this movie loves products. We'll get to it, but like this movie would be thrilled to have him buy, a brand new Xbox or whatever.
Nando, don't be ridiculous. They would also love it if you stayed at one of London's many luxury hotels.
Mm-hmm.
More than one.
Fancy
like three, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's like that
All
Sonic movie. Yeah. I spun the wheel again, landed on another one of Diggins' less chemistry than a high school dropout. This is maybe the big problem with the movie, I think. Right?
Yeah, the movie still wouldn't be good, but I would like be willing to go through it, but like go with it a lot more if I felt like Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry had good chemistry and repartee.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Here's the thing. As actors, maybe they could sell it if the dialogue wasn't dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
You can't tell me that their banter is any good.
Okay. I think the scene where they're on the hill, that banter isn't bad when they're kind of reminiscing. I think... What? Really? Really?
I mean, it's so
Maybe
basic. It's so.
I like Halle Berry. I don't know. And I kind of like Mark Wahlberg. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just I think, like, they work because I like them as individuals, and I see them like, oh, that's fun. But, like, maybe I'm in a very small subset of people. Maybe it's just me. Maybe this movie was made for DJ Chapman to have those two together, but I liked it.
Listen, DJ, the thing about that hill scene is, I think you've forgotten, it does end with him playing a Bruce Springsteen song.
Yep.
Which is also a violent assault on our heritage.
How dare you just disrespect the boss like that?
How dare they disrespect
they're
him?
disrespecting the boss, DJ.
Absolutely. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, to some extent, like, I get it, because, like, cliches like that do exist in real life enough where, like, on one hand, you're like, man, Living on a Prayer is a pretty cliche song to play at a wedding, but I still played at every wedding I've ever been to. So it's like, it's not like it's a cliche for a reason kind of thing. It's just like people just like it, so that they're going to keep doing it. But especially with this bit, I feel like, and I don't remember, so I could be misremembering this, but I don't know, man. I've met people as like an adult who I went to high school with and spoke to them about the high school, and it sounds different than the way they speak about the high school, which is like, hey, do you remember Miss Johnson's third period English class? Boy, we used to get up to some trouble in that. And like, it's just not how people talk. Like, it's so like, and they don't have to talk exactly like people, but it really does hurt the believability of their relationship where they talk like, you know, the ChatGPT version of write me a dialogue about two people that went to high school together, especially two people that like hooked up in the past or whatever, talking about that. It just feels so weird and desperate the way they're like, oh, remember that time that I kissed you in the middle of the, you know, auditorium or something? And she'll be like, I do remember that time, Johnny, but I didn't think it was as good as you. It just, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't know.
One thing if they were like 25 seeing each other again for the first time and be like, you know, they're still young. That's still like a fresh thing for them in a lot of ways. He's 50.
Yeah.
Like, if you're still talking about your high school sweetheart like that, who you haven't seen in the interview time when you're 50, something's gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Like, yeah, this guy doesn't seem to have any other relationships in his life. Even his mom is like, oh, it's her again. You liked her, didn't you? Like, that seems like an insane thing to say to this man who I'm assuming has at least, you know, 3 divorces and 8 kids while hanging around in New Jersey somewhere. Right?
At least one MILF on call.
Yeah. At least. Come on now. Come on.
And that seems to be the first time this has ever happened, the way they're talking about it afterwards. But like, there's only so many teachers, right? Like, there's this man, and like,
do you think he is a child predator? He goes around to all his old female teachers and tries to have sex with them.
Oh God.
I mean,
that's so harrowing.
I get it. You know, it's if you're him and everyone hates you, except for your one high school sweetheart who's a spy, you gotta start looking elsewhere, I guess.
Do you mean women hate him? Because his friends love him so much. Like the scene you mentioned where he's like FaceTime at the bachelor party. The guy's like, fuck. The guy's not like, fuck you for not being a piece of shit. He's like, Mikey, I wish you were here. Whatever you do, it's gotta be real important. I bet you're doing something really, really, really important because you can't be here. We love you, Mikey. Like, that's friendship right there.
Yeah, but to be fair, and the movie I think does do a good job of sort of framing this in a way that this comes across clearly and understandably. His friends seem like they suck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Seem like huge pieces of shit.
Like, they're loyal when it comes to helping him do international terrorism or foil international terrorism. They don't know, but like, you know, involved with that. But like, when it comes to actually just like looking at what their bachelor party is, it's a bar in New Jersey, the bar they seem to usually go to. It's not even like AC or something, which is where these guys would go, but it's a bar in New Jersey. and one of them is standing on the stool on the bar, just like mooning everybody or something.
Yeah,
And he's like, put a
Put your-
tattoo on my ass. It says property of Stephanie.
Like, minutes.
These
into
guys
that.
are 50.
Yeah. and do you remember the best man speech? Is also
you
like,
mean the one he pulled, like he Googled, give me a best man speech and just pulled the first thing he found?
well, that one has another specific that's like, I remember that day where we were at the bar and you were yelling about something with your shirt off and she was the bartender. And it's like, I think these guys are just plain old alcoholics. And yeah, the movie knows he shouldn't hang out with him, but it's also like, these are the guys that need to grow up, not Mark Wahlberg, but like one of them could totally join the union and learn something from it. But
I have I guess it's kind of a nitpicker observation. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't put it on the wheel. It's on the bar. Can I take a quick digression?
sure.
So that bar they go to, it's probably obvious, is not in Patterson.
What?
I know. There's no Wilsons on Broadway, New Jersey. There's a Wilsons like down in South Jersey by the shore, but obviously not this place. There's a game playing on. There's a Rutgers football game going on that is like switched on. I looked it up. It was the second quarter. It was against Michigan State, and they were ranked 16, and they were up 13-0. This game happened in 2017. And the final score was Michigan State 40, Rutgers 0. 7, not 0, 7, 40-7.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
one
fine,
touchdown. Yeah. It's somewhat respectful, right? Got one touchdown. Unless this bar is playing like reruns of football games where Rutgers gets destroyed.
Yeah.
College football games.
Anti-Rutgers bar.
Yo, fuck Rutgers. These fancy college boys think they're so good, not like us. Blue-collar construction workers. We don't need no friggin' degree. They love watching Rutgers lose.
So unless that's the case, this movie takes place in 2017 because that's when that game happened. That game happened in November of 2017. And so I guess that, yeah.
When you say you looked it up, you mean you looked it up in your mind palace where you store all this information and that's what all your memory goes towards?
Obviously, yeah, because I can't remember other things, but I know every single Rutgers game.
You barely remember your firstborn son's name, but you know every college football game of the past 30 years.
Michigan State has archives for like past games, and I looked for the ones that were at Rutgers because Rutgers was home, and ones were like that was the box score, and Michigan was ranked 16th, and that was that game. So yeah, this movie takes place in 2017.
I like they had to look up the Michigan State one of these. You couldn't just go to the Rutgers one because it's like a Wikipedia fan page that got created last year because nobody gives a shit. But like with Michigan, it's like people want to remember what those games were like. Yeah, I think you could convince me this movie takes place in 17. Besides maybe the cars, there's not too much that feels like it dates. Yeah, like I said, they're not going after billions in crypto, which is the normal, or NFTs or fucking, AI or something. It's not using any of those fun buzzwords.
Not like the Beekeeper.
No, not like Beekeeper, Money Plane, the new Mission Impossible where the bad guy's AI. It's like very simple. And what's the other thing? And you could convince me that the person writing this wrote it around this football game. Like that's in the script as they play the 2017 Rutgers UNC game. But I don't know. It's just so like, it's just so wrong. Like, and I know they can't do this, but like every bar I've ever been to is either playing the football game that's happening now, Sports Center, or TNT or something. Like just some random movie that no one can hear, but we all know it's like, yeah, that's Good Will Hunting. Speaking of Good Will Hunting, we'll get to it. That's the only joke that I liked in this movie. And I don't even really consider it a joke, but like that bit I think kind of worked for me. But yeah, the whatever was I saying.
Just observation I wanted to point out that like, it's interesting that game was in the movie, and I
think if they couldn't have gotten the footage for that Rutgers game, they would have played The Sopranos. You know,
right?
Just like the last episode of The Sopranos that we all watch in bars and go, that was pretty fun when they did that.
What about an episode of Jersey Shore?
Oh yeah,
another good option. Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite New Jersey thing that takes place in New Jersey that isn't known for taking place in New Jersey? Like, do you guys have something like that you're like, that is like New Jersey culture, but it doesn't, it should be the main New Jersey culture, not Sopranos or Jersey Shore. Not that there's anything wrong with Sopranos.
No, that's a good question.
For a recent thing, I like Yellow Jackets, which is set in
Yellow
New Jersey.
Jackets take place in where in Jersey?
Middletown actually is where it's.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. Right by where I grew up.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I had not learned this until recently, but Bob's Burgers is apparently supposed to take place in the shore. Like
really?
that's and it makes sense when you look at it like that, because you're like, yeah, it's a shore, and how many places have like that boardwalk and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a New Jersey thing. You got any, DJ?
I'm like, I can't think of anything that's like not like super like well known. Yeah,
Garden State, is that your favorite?
I love Garden State.
You know, it's a good one. I think.
Is Clerks? Is Clerks New Jersey?
Clerks is New Jersey. Yeah,
right?
It's one of those little hidden gems.
Yeah. Right. That's us, right?
I was gonna say House. I think takes place in New Jersey.
Is it really?
Yeah, but I think it's South Jersey.
Right, because it's like
counts.
Princeton College or Princeton Hospital or something.
Something like that, yeah. Harold and Kumar is very Jersey in a way that I actually think is pretty good.
They're going to
even though
Hill,
if you track where they went, it's insane. Yeah.
Geographically wrong. Yeah, geographically wrong. Like, there's no way they would do all this. They wind up in Hoboken at one point. Like,
they start in Hoboken.
Right,
that's where they live. Yeah, and then they go to
closest White Castle,
Princeton.
Cherry Hill.
Yeah, and then Cherry Hill. Yeah, it's like so dumb.
Yeah.
But then, what was the other one I like? Batman. Batman lives in New Jersey.
Gotham's in New Jersey. That's
canonically
true.
Gotham is in New Jersey, and Nightwing lives in New Jersey too. Bloodhaven is like kind of Newark. But yeah, it never comes up except for honestly that Penguin show, and like everything they do with him. I'm like, they understood that some of these guys should be from New Jersey. And I appreciate that.
Is that Penguin show out?
No, but I guess like his character, like that, like, you know, the Penguin from the Batman show is like an Italian mobster more than I would say even the ones in like the original Batman movies. He feels like a guy that could show up in The Sopranos. And it's played by a fucking Irish guy. So, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of right.
I get it.
Yeah, it's great.
Those are the two ethnicities in New Jersey, Irish and Italian.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I thought. I'll be honest. Like, I, growing up, because I feel like everywhere else I've lived or like been around, because like you're just, what do you consider just a random white guy? What's their ethnicity? Like
me? Oh.
In America, like if you just saw some guy that's like in like, you know, Cleveland or something.
I don't know. What who's like, I'm trying to think of who's our most neutral like white guy. Like what's Tom Brady? Like maybe like that, right?
I mean,
just like true neutral.
If you're asking me to think of the actual average American than like British or German.
Right, German, I feel like is like most of them, some sort of like mix of German and like something else or whatever. Yeah. I thought for my whole life, basically, until I moved to Pennsylvania, that it was like the default American white guy was like Tony Soprano Italian.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, but like my unconscious sort of like assumption or like baseline imagining of it is like Irish or Italian because we grew up in New Jersey.
It's such a weird thing.
Like, it's weird to think how much even like Italian is like not very big in other parts of this country. I remember my sister dated a guy from Illinois for a while. And at one time, like she went out to visit his family in like suburban Illinois somewhere. And when they were out there, his family was like, oh, there's the one Italian place here that's so good. You have to try it.
Olive Garden.
It was like a local place. It wasn't a chain, but she was like, it was the worst Italian food I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
There is something there where it's like, there's like so many parts of this country, like they need Domino's or else it's no pizza.
Yeah.
It's like Domino's or nothing. So
Mm,
get
true.
Domino's.
That was
Like when
their slogan
Inside
for a
Out
while.
tried to act like Riley was being all high and mighty about how California pizza's no good. You're from
Yeah.
Minnesota. What do you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, California pizza's pretty bad, but like, I can't imagine Minnesota pizza is. Well, I guess, does Minnesota, do you think they like glom onto like the Chicago pizza? Because that is terrible.
It's not pizza, it's casserole.
Yeah.
It's
so
possible. They are like similar parts of the Midwest.
maybe it's that. But then, yeah, Riley's not going to like pizza at all. It's going to be like, I don't know. It's going to be like eating, I don't know, a bunch of nails or something. Like, they can't get tastier because they're already horrible. But yeah, I spun the wheel again, landed on one of DJ's casually doing your black market auction at a rooftop bar.
Yeah, so you alluded to this, Nando. So there's the scene where they captured the lady, where she's like going, do I have 550 million? Do I have 550 million? She's, I think, literally at a bar, right? Like, she's doing this at a bar, right? And just like casually on her laptop. And like, I just feel like, I don't know what it's like in London, but if you just get one person that's like, hey, they told me on TV, see something, say something. I'm going to say something, right? I'm seeing something. I need to say something because this is crazy, right? I don't know. Maybe it's fantasy football, but it's like, it's wild that she's doing it here and in a place that you are like just aiming to get caught or captured like she is. And there's no security. There's no nothing. It's just like, you know, what will happen will happen. I think it's insane.
Right. You'd figure they would run up on her and then everyone in the bar would stand up and point a gun at them because they're all part of it, you know?
Right.
But no.
Even if, like we said, we later learn it's kind of meant to be a trap. They were like trying to make sure she got caught.
Yeah,
if I'm Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg, and I come into like the super secret location, and it's her by herself at a bar, and she immediately gives up as soon as I pull a gun, I'm like, well, this is a trap. There's no way it's this easy.
That's another great point. I know Halle Berry pulls a gun under the bar. She still pulls a gun in like a public place. Like, it's not so clandestine, right? It's kind of clandestine.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
like, I don't know.
I feel like my thing with her, if I were her, is like, this is just me, because I've been, I mean, not even bars, but like, let's say it's a Starbucks. Let's say it's like a place where people do this kind of thing. If I'm hosting the $500 million auction, I'm doing it somewhere where like I control the Wi-Fi, right? Like, just in case we lose connection, I don't want to ruin the whole thing. But maybe she's got like a special computer with a fancy connection. But still, I'd want to be somewhere where I can hardline into the internet just in case.
Yeah, it's not like a rooftop bar. It's
But I guess
the
the alternative
point,
is
Diggins, that it's like, it's so sus that like trained spies would be like, wait, what's going on?
well, the alternative is like, is she doing it in her living room? Because that also doesn't look right for a movie like this. That is what she would be doing. Like, she'd just be in her living room listening and having a like soda or something, like just very casually. But instead, she has to be at a rooftop bar sipping a glass of champagne. Like,
I mean, I think the way you do this smartly, if you're the movie, is it's something where it's like she's in this kind of like safe house and there are guards there, but the guards go down like easy, right? And because Mark was like, wait, we took out those guards, right? Or it's like, those guards were meant to be taken out, you know, or like something like that, right? Like,
you have no idea how many goons I have and how little I care about their lives.
yeah, exactly.
Or like something even not like dumber, but like having her be in like a speedboat or something. Just like, she's always moving, so it's going to be hard to catch her. But like, that's how she gets away with not having a humongous entourage of guys. It's just like, it's a moving vehicle. It's a helicopter or something. But,
yeah, and then instead of it just being like, I need time for the mainframe to do its calculations. Oh, we got to sit and stare at the screen until it's done. It could be like a thing he actually has to figure out where he's like, signal keeps bouncing around. What are we doing? And then everybody, like, wait a minute. Well, you know, then the thing's like dynamic and is involved in the characters like realizing things and making decisions.
Right. She'd be on like the subway or something, and these normal people, these normal spies that are trying to find her, wouldn't understand the subway or the tube, as they say. The common man doesn't take that because they take Ubers, but they would understand that because they're the union. Yeah, I don't know, man. That scene was pretty stupid, but she was trying to get caught. But it's still like I was saying before, if the movie's bad, this thing doesn't work because it doesn't read as that. In the moment, it reads as just normal bad for the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked that this actor, when she got home, checked her mail. That was a fun little detail.
I did like
she
that.
She really didn't.
She's very casual.
Shit. Yeah.
I kind of liked her, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actor's name is Jessica, and then D-E, and then Gouw. So Degau, I guess. But it's Australian. So I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced. I do know, speaking of Arrow, like we usually, every movie has one Arrow guy. She was the Huntress in the show Arrow. So
fun.
Very, very brief role. She shows up in the beginning of the season or like series, and then doesn't really, outside of maybe a cameo, have much else to do, but she was in that. And I think she is, fine in this. She has good hair. She has very, very, very specific hair do. But yeah. I spun the wheel again, landed on one of Diggins's. There's no way this mom isn't racist. Let's talk about the racism in this movie, because it's weird.
There's a pile up around this point of a bunch of different, like, the movie tries to very briefly touch on the idea of racism, and it does a weird job of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, originally I was saying that because when he talks to his mom, she's like, Roxanne, I always liked her for you. I'm like, every single way this mom is being played, there's no way she's not racist.
Yeah.
There's just no way. But then in this scene, when her husband shows back up, Luke Cage himself.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite one is, so Mark Wahlberg, being a character played by Mark Wahlberg, is immediately upset at the idea that anyone he's had romantic interest in has ever been interested in anyone else for their entire lives.
Yeah.
So he's immediately like, who's this fucking clown? I'm so mad. Nobody can like a dame after I started liking her.
I feel like he's got a kind of point, not in that sense, but in the sense that, like, wait a second. First of all, you trained with these union guys for, like, I don't know, a week or something. And this guy was a union guy who got murdered in the last union activity. Did you never find out who this was? Like, was this not part of any briefing? And then nobody went, by the way, I'm sorry about your loss, Halle Berry. And then she went, yeah, I don't know. But, like, I don't know. Maybe they broke up on such bad terms that even though everybody knew this guy died in the thing and they were in a relationship, they were like, she's probably so psyched we can't mention it. She's probably thrilled
Possibly.
About this. Yeah.
But so then at one point, as part of like being antagonistic to him for no reason, Mark Wahlberg's like, yeah, her dad must have loved you. And it's like, what do you mean by that, Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, that was a strange
literally
one.
all you know about him right now is that he's a big black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you could be being racist right now, but why would Halle Berry's dad be upset about that?
Yeah.
Have you thought this through?
Well, the answer's no, Diggins. Has not.
In the Mark Wahlberg version of the script, it's because this man is well dressed to the point of being like not in the union because he's such a fancy man. He's got a turtleneck on under his blazer. But
is that the euphemism we're using now? If you're not in the union, you're a friend of Dorothy.
Say, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's very I would say Luke Cage specifically in this movie feels quite wooden. I did not like him in this.
No, he's not good.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I will say, Nando, I would accept that interpretation if he wasn't wearing the spy jumpsuit in this scene, the only scene in which he's met him. Like, it can't be about that.
That's true. His fancy uniform is his plain phone call uniform for when he is revealing his plan for no reason.
That's right.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So that's insane. And then they're arguing about how she didn't tell him she had a husband, which I think this part is reasonable on his part. It's like, we've been flirting all week or these past 2 weeks or whatever, and you didn't tell me your husband died 2 weeks ago? It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It's the part where he's mad at the husband where I'm like, you're being ridiculous. But so then they talk about their parents, and she's like, your dad didn't like me because he's racist. And he's like, your dad didn't like me. She's like, yeah. Are you listening to yourself? It was the 1990s, I guess, because it was 30 years ago and we're in our 50s.
Yep.
Or the 80s, I guess it was 2017. And you were a meathead white guy dating his daughter. Like, that's much more reasonable, to be honest. But then Mark Wahlberg decides the reasonable compromise is our dads were both pretty old-fashioned. And it's like, is that it, Mark Wahlberg?
Yep, that's all you got.
Is that it?
Nothing else. I gotta say, the writing in this scene is insane. I don't know why it's in the movie. It's such a bad choice. It should not be in the movie.
They should not have addressed it. Like, it didn't need to be addressed for what this movie is.
Yeah, well, agreed.
Do you think Mark Wahlberg at some point was just like, by the way, we got to say something about this, right? People are going to be like, what's going on here? She black, he's white.
Like, what? Yeah. Mark Wahlberg with the black lady? That's crazy.
I deserve some credit. I think we have to point out that other people in this movie are racist and not me, because look at how good of a job I'm doing. But also, and I think I had to look this up before, Halle Berry is mixed race, I believe. I think she's, like, her mom is white and her dad is black or something like that. So it's weird that this even comes up, considering in real life their parents are not both the race that Mark Wahlberg thinks they're racist against, unless that's part of the internal strife of her family. I mean, the dynamics of this family are so complicated, because also this takes place in the high school in New Jersey where him and all his friends grew up. That she went to, where they're all just white guys too. So it's not like he. I
like the high school we went to. We knew those guys. Those guys were racist.
That's
Let's
true.
Be clear. Those guys in high school, maybe they've learned more by now. I can give them the grace, the benefit of the doubt, whatever. When they were 16, those guys were throwing N-words left and right.
Yeah, especially in the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Damn.
I mean, I feel like this movie, it is weird that it does this. I kind of almost like it because it's the only characterization any of them kind of have that, because like this, we talk about, what was it last 2 weeks ago? What was before Borderlands?
Trap.
Trap.
No. Yeah. Okay. So what was before Deadpool? What was the movie that took place in the frictionless void?
Oh my God. What did I say? The one about?
From physics. It was a somewhat recent movie.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm looking it up.
Whatever it is, this movie also kind of takes place in the
Greatest
frictionless
Showman.
void. Oh, sure,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, this movie also kind of does that. And to that point, when they get into it, I'm like, this is some sort of friction in the void. It would be crazy if, because I feel like when this kind of friction does show up, you're supposed to be like, whoa, is this the end for them? I feel like it would be pretty funny if Mark Wahlberg got home from spy stuff. What happened? She got mad about the whole me and the dad and race thing, and everybody around him was like, you kidding me, dude? We look at her. What's wrong with you? Like, you just want this to be a thing, clearly, or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know what it is, guys. I said one N-word, and then she suddenly didn't want anything to do with me.
Oh my god!
It's just one harmless N-word. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a word. I told her she was overreacting, but she didn't like that either.
Mm-hmm. I was only using it so I could say what it is to her. I wasn't using it. I was making an example, you know? It's like, this is very, very simple stuff. But, yeah, that part's weird. Now that I think about it, yeah. I forget, where is, J.K. Simmons supposed to be from in this? I think they say it. It's from like Iowa or some shit. Yeah, I do.
The CIA guy's from Idaho.
The CIA guy's from
Idaho.
Idaho.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they ever say anything for J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. There goes Joiysee.
What do you think he's doing? What do you think J.K. Simmons' character is supposed to be? Supposed to be Midwestern or New York?
I think he's supposed to be J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, where's J.K. Simmons from?
I think he's doing an accent, but I couldn't place it either.
Wait, no, he's doing J.K. Simmons. He's doing Red One. He's doing Sam.
I mean, we'll see, but I feel like J.K. Simmons is much better at doing like a very flat accent and then doing a New York version of that that's slightly less nothing. I feel like he was really landing on some syllables in this.
He's from Michigan, which feels plausible.
Yeah,
sure.
You could convince me anybody's from Michigan, and
Diggins is from Michigan.
Somebody's got to be.
Daisy Edgar Jones is from Michigan.
There you go. Is she really?
She's British, so no.
I was gonna say, yeah, you could. I'm pretty sure she's British, but then I'm like, good for her though. Got out of Michigan and went straight to the UK. Yeah.
I mean, she tried really hard to convince me she was from the USA and Twisters. Didn't really work.
Speaking of British stuff, I want to spin the wheel one more time because I think we're mostly done, and we've talked about most of the other things here. But this is one of mine. Inexplicably, we have not talked about this yet, but it's a question. Guys, remember that Matilda musical?
Oh my gosh.
So weird.
That wasn't Matilda.
That was Peter Pan.
That was a juvie Peter Pan.
Yeah, you're right. It was juvie Peter Pan. The only reason I think it's Matilda is because there was one scene in front of a humongous Matilda poster.
Yes, because it's still playing in West End.
Yeah. What is going on there?
Well, first of all, I love how they had to squeeze that in. J.K. Simmons got the one line, "Hey, you will come one of the Lost Boys, Mike." Something like that.
Yeah.
Which actually paints a huge picture for me. Because just from the snippet of the one song he hears through a comlink, J.K. Simmons knows what musical it is.
Yeah.
Which means he's seen it.
And a musical person who has seen Matilda, still thought it was Matilda. I was totally convinced, so he's better at that than I am.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So I think we have to we're forced to conclude that J.K. Simmons in this movie, huge West End fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's going every weekend.
Maybe that's the only reason the union is headquartered in London. Like when he had to decide, he was like, it's got to be London, for all these security reasons. But deep down, he was just like, man, I get to go all the time, see all the West End performers. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I feel like if the union was taking place in there's only so many places, right? If the union was in Chicago, you'd have to go to improv shows and shit. That would be so annoying. And
why not New York then? I guess it's too close to home for Mike.
It's not really getting out of his comfort zone to go to New York.
Yeah. They were probably like, and I think when they came up with the idea for the union, they went to, I don't know, Mayor Bloomberg or whatever at the time, 2017, and we're like, we want to build a giant, humongous skyscraper that's bigger than all the other skyscrapers. And they're like, is it going to be filled with empty buildings for Saudi billionaires? And no, we're going to use it for stuff. Oh, you can't do that then. We don't let you make those buildings anymore. All our buildings are money laundering schemes at this point, sir. So no, thank you.
I would think about it now, Nando, though, based on what you said there, and there's another even more horrific possibility if it was in Chicago and they had to go to Second City.
Mm-hmm.
when Mark Wahlberg wandered on stage, they would have had him do improv.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true. He would have had to, yes, and to stay in the scene so that the goons didn't get him or something.
Yeah.
Like,
would have been
yeah,
horrible.
It's awful. This scene is so bad because it could be kind of funny if he kind of fit in and had to do whatever it was. You know, like if it was cats and he had to pretend to be a cat on stage to play along. But because it's a movie or a musical about kids in like little pajamas, he just is a old guy wandering through it. And everybody that's watching it is like, why is that old guy wandering through the thing? And then everybody else also seems to see the giant men with guns that comes through every other entrance. And like union stuff is so disturbing to everyone around them. It's so, they're such bad spies for the common man. Like,
well, I think though, it's not just that it's the juvie Peter Pan that he doesn't like visually fit in with. Mark Wahlberg's also having zero fun with this scene.
Yeah.
You're right. This is a funny scene if you like try to fit in and you're like picking up props and being like trying to mouth the words or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like you obviously still don't fit in, but you're trying something. Like that's what makes a scene like this fun. But he's not putting any effort in. He's just walking through the stage like it's a street.
Yeah, you could convince me that they plan to film this on an empty stage, and then as a prank, they set up this the Peter Pan thing for Mark Wahlberg just to see what he would do, and he did that, and they were like, "I guess that's the take we got to use."
We don't have the money to do this again.
That's what it is. But like, I assume this will be on the news, right? Like this humongous event where everybody shot everybody in the streets of London. And I assume this guy that stood on stage is going to be main character of this whole story. And like,
I mean, I'm pretty sure, again, because they're much stricter gun laws, this would be like the worst mass shooting in decades in the UK.
Yeah, probably.
Like this would be huge.
Oh,
yeah, it's so stupid. And yeah, I thought it was Matilda. That's how bad it was. I think it's because I've never seen this Peter Pan musical. But maybe I should.
Well, I think they didn't do Matilda because they didn't want to pay for the rights.
But didn't Netflix make a Matilda? They did a pro shoot, or like not even just a pro shoot. They did the filmed version of the movie of the musical. So that was why I was like, oh, is this like some cross promotion thing? And the only show they could get the rights to, even though it doesn't really work for a grown man to walk through, is Matilda. But yeah, I don't know. Matilda was cool. What was I going to say? Oh, one other thing real quick I wanted to mention before we get off this, because it's kind of sponsor stuff related, and there's a lot of sponsorship in this movie, I assume. And that's probably why it got made. But you guys, when you want to have a nice drink, do you reach for an ice cold Bud Light?
Obviously. Every time.
I like drinking, just as much as the next guy. But man, when that camera lingered on that bucket of Bud Light at the wedding, my mouth was watering. I was running out to my local drugstore or whatever. Oh, not in Jersey.
No, I love a cold one.
It was so much.
How much do you think Pepsi paid to have a Coca-Cola ordered by an Iranian terrorist?
That'd be really funny if they started bidding more for stuff like that. Just like, all right, Coke, we got Pepsi at 400 million. You guys want to let them put the Coke in the terrorist stands or whatever? Because yeah, there's a lot of sponsorship in this movie. It's all pretty stupid.
It is all pretty stupid.
I don't know if this is the least believable one, but remember when the phone gets destroyed because it fell into a sink?
Yeah.
Well, and got like hit. They're like, oh, it was hit and it fell into a sink.
Yeah, but
it's like melting when he pulls it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phones are so good these days at stuff like that. Like, it's pretty hard you can maybe crack the screen, but besides that, like, you could drop a phone off the Empire State Building and it'll probably just bounce once and be fine. Like, I feel like the days of the phone falling into the water and it being totally destroyed are long gone.
Yes, agreed. That's fake shit, absolutely.
Anything else about this one? Do you think they're ever going to make the Tunian or whatever they would call the second one?
I doubt it.
I also
they're not even really they're saying it's like another one of their best performing movies in all of film history. But they're not even pushing it that hard. They're not even really trying.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I doubt they're going to do more.
Yeah, the only thing about this that I wonder is like, so The Rock, right, has like what seems like the Netflix franchise tag or whatever, where like they pull him in for Red One. J.K. Simmons obviously is in a couple of these. Mark Wahlberg was in that Spencer Confidential movie that was pretty successful for Netflix based on their, whatever that means. But like it was at the top of their list for a while. And yeah, I can't imagine they would do a Tunian before they do a Spencer, Double Confidential or whatever. Which
I guess it also depends. Did Mark Wahlberg show up on set at time every day and piss in a toilet? Because maybe eventually they decide that things like that are just worth supporting.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what we need. That's what our film society needs.
Oh, other question. Where would you rank this on the list of all the straight to streaming spy movies?
Oh, I don't have it like handy, but I don't know. It's top 5.
Wow.
How many of them have we done?
So we've done like 6 of them, but there's more, but we haven't seen them all. Like Spencer Confidential, for example. I don't know what that is, but that seems like it's probably a spy movie or something. But like, I guess the ones we can think of, Argyle, Ghosted, Red Notice.
Well, Argyle was a theatrical release.
Yeah, but it was created originally by the streaming company to be a straight to streaming movie. So I'm counting it.
Which
it was
is wild.
Yeah, because it was Apple. If it was like a Warner movie that they bought, I would be like, that really doesn't count.
Argyle, Red Notice, this, Gray Man,
yeah. Ghosted.
Yeah, I had to spell Gray Man Ghosted.
You guys haven't seen Heart of Stone because it's the worst one, but that's the worst one.
I haven't seen it.
So bad. Yeah, it's fucking
this might be bottom. I mean, this or Ghosted probably.
Really? I had to spell Gray Man.
I think so too. I think Gray Man was okay compared to this. I think there's something about Ryan Gosling that's just a little bit more fun to watch. And Chris Evans was kind of fun in that. Whereas,
I mean,
this is just
and
so
it
lacking.
had the Prague pig roast. Like,
that's right.
Not a single cop dies in this movie. Bullshit.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I buy it. I'd have to check again, but
have to check again. Go back.
Everybody that gets shot is part of some equally interesting spy organization that just has no characteristics, or like they're all so like you could convince me one was a cop, and I don't know what any of them are. But yeah, well, maybe we'll get a Tunian. I don't know. Probably not though. Probably just some other one of these that is disconnected from this, so they don't have to pay anybody more. Do you guys want to get to our classic segment?
Let's do it.
I would love that.
All right. DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
I do. I'll be quick. I have some anime focused recs this week. So I watched anime that came out recently. Have you guys heard of this? It's called My Dear Friend Nokotan.
I have heard of this.
I have not.
It is. Oh, Nando, you'd love it so much. Just kidding. It is
It's all about sexy young girls.
And you know what they love more than anything else?
Joking.
Deer.
They love. About.
It's always about that. It's about Deer. It's okay. It's this like weird, like hybrid, like dark comedy, satirical show about this girl who she's like the perfect high school girl, but she's actually a delinquent, but she doesn't want anyone to know. That's kind of like a sub theme. The main theme is this girl Nokotan who is very much into deer and is maybe part deer. It's not very clear. But it's like it's violent, it's funny, it's surreal. Surreal is the word I would use. This is definitely in the category of like acquired tastes. Like I don't think this is like an anime for all audiences, but it is fucking interesting. So and sometimes that's all we could ask for is fucking interesting. So that's what I would say about My Dear Friend Nokotan is that it's fucking interesting. And then besides that, I watched Rick and Morty the anime and I didn't like it. So I won't talk about that because this is a segment called Recommendations. I would say for now, pass.
Interesting.
I wouldn't call it Rick and Morty the anime. I'd call it some other shit. So anyway, not to be rude or whatever. But yeah, I will recommend My Dear Friend Nokotan. Just check out the first episode and you'll know if it's for you. Diggins, how about you?
I watched several movies since last we spoke, so I will quickly go through all of them. I saw Alien Romulus, which was great. I am an unabashed Alien sequels defender. I think Prometheus is good. I think Covenant is good. I think 3 and 4 are interesting. That being said, this is probably the best Alien since Aliens. It's much more trying to be like the first one than any of the other movies, I think.
Heard that, yeah.
So it's very much about like recapturing that kind of like mood. And the first Alien is an incredible movie. And I think it mostly works. It's tense and scary, and it's got the same kind of like themes on like class and how corporations are evil. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Some messed up stuff happens in that movie near the end, which I enjoyed. But if you don't like watching messed up stuff, that's your warning.
Yeah,
Body horror.
You should probably watch The Union instead. That's not messed up. It's very safe.
Right. I saw Twisters, which I didn't like at first because it had a similar kind of like blue collar America. We don't need your fancy degrees, blah, kind of stuff. But it mellows on that a lot as the movie goes on. And then like when it gets to just be like the characters, Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell, Nando's favorite guy.
Yeah, an actor.
I think it becomes a lot more charming once it gets past that phase. And so by the end, it had kind of won me over. I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I think it's enjoyable.
Okay.
And then yesterday, I finally got around to seeing Longlegs. The horror movie where Nick Cage plays a weirdo serial killer. It is, speaking of surreal, it is a very surreal kind of horror movie. It's very vibes based, where it's just about, like, it does have a plot that by the end of it you can follow, but it's a lot more about sort of like the feelings it creates and like the imagery than it is about that. And I think it was really cool for that. I mean, I like that sort of, it was kind of Lynchian, I think, in the way where in its like the horror elements of Lynch's work. Cause Lynch is more than that. I think this is really laser focused in on the horror part of it. But yeah, no, I thought it was really cool and I enjoyed it a lot, for similar reasons. That one's definitely not for everyone, though. That one is, you gotta really like surreal horror.
Much like My Dear Friend Nokotan, for a specific audience.
I mean, for a specific audience, yes. I don't think they're the same audiences.
That's fair.
But yeah, those are the 3 movies I've watched this week. What about you, Nando?
I watched a lot of a show and then a movie. So my show is like many people, and I realized it is like one of my comfort shows. I've been watching starting at season 2, as I don't hate season 1, but it's not my favorite. I've been watching Veep again, like so many of us these days. It's like the best.
Really? Is there any kind of relevance in the Veep plot lines to anything that's happening now?
You know, in more ways than you'd expect. There's a big Palestine-Israel plotline recently that we just did. She's trying to get her Family First bill through, and then there's like data breaches and stuff. So like, I do think, I mean, this show, it's a great show for a million reasons, but like they nail some of those things. But I guess they're all just kind of perennial things, right? Data breaches just keep happening, and like
they
Israel
can't stop happening.
Peace talks just keep happening, and so you know. In 50 years, the Veep that they make will still be kind of similar to that. But yeah, she's great. They're all great. It's a great show. I think like it's funny because they say there's lots of things where they say like, you know, Captain Jizzface or something at somebody as an insult, and that is funny because of just how good they are all at comedy. But there's also just a lot of bits where they say like just little humorous bits at each other that aren't super R-rated that are just like so good. And it's one of those shows that I will rewatch all the time, or can rewatch all the time, because I always forget some of them and then hear them again. I'm like, oh, that's great. So Veep, obviously awesome on HBO. The other thing I watched a movie I think Diggins has watched and recommended called Thelma from earlier this year. Did you watch that one, Diggins?
Actually, but I know about it.
Okay. So it's a movie about, what is her name? June something. I don't know the actor super well. But basically it's about a grandmother who gets scammed, and it kind of not really ruins her life, but gets her, June Squibb's the name of the actor, but gets her to a point where she's like, I got to do something about this. And also she feels old and kind of helpless because of like the way everybody treats her. It's pretty light, I would say. It's pretty fun. It goes for like some feelings about grandmothers that I think are interesting. So like, you maybe get ready for that in terms of just like maybe having emotions. But overall, I think it's a pretty fun ride. And she's real funny. And it writes old people in a way that's very good. And like just solid. So yeah, I would recommend it. I had a pretty good time with it. Besides that, I've been playing a non-zero amount of Fortnite this week, which I don't want to recommend.
Wow,
they put all the Avengers in it this week or something. Dr. Doom was introduced and shit. Yeah, so I wanted to check it out. Well, it was Emma Frost specifically was the one that's like, well, I got to try.
That makes sense.
And I get it. It's kind of fun. I don't think I could play it forever. But like I played it once for a charity stream and I didn't really get it. But having played it now, I'm like, I see why this is a fun little thing. What are we doing next week, fellas?
I don't know.
The Crow,
right?
Maybe?
Oh God, maybe, yeah.
We might maybe debt before we incur more debt, which is a thing I have to talk about.
And there's other movies coming up, like bigger movies. I can't remember what they are, but yeah, we'll figure it out. DJ, what about that debt?
Okay, so I'm just going to tie this in with my plugs. So the Eliminator Pool is coming back. So for those of you who don't know, every year we do an NFL Eliminator Pool. And how this works is it's totally free to enter. Every week you have to pick one team to just win their football game for that week. But then you cannot select that team again for the rest of the season. And then it is basically just last player standing. So whoever makes it the farthest in the NFL season gets to pick a movie for us to do eventually. There's some like weird tiebreakers if you let's say there's two people and they both get eliminated on the same week and they were the last two people, it goes to like point differential. So you want to try and pick teams that do better, but typically it doesn't come up. It is usually just a last person standing kind of deal. So just try and not lose like I do. I always lose early because I get two in my head. And if you're like, I don't know football, I'm not good at that. We've had plenty of people we've been doing this for a number of years now. We have plenty of people who are not big sports people. They have their dad or mom or brother or sister or cousin like do it for them and they wind up winning. This is totally true. This has absolutely happened. So yeah, I will put information on the Twitters and on the Discord. And sign up, totally free. And we hope you will join us to hopefully win the mostly nitpicking NFL Eliminator Pool. I think I said all the stuff. Oh, also check out my other podcast, Roses and Rejections, where we talk about The Bachelorette, which is fine. I'll probably talk about it more next week.
Not since they kicked off that dumb guy.
Yeah.
I miss the dumb guy.
I miss him.
Diggins, any plugs?
Not really. What about you, Nando?
Videos. You know what? I'll probably have my my Magneto pitch will probably be on YouTube soon, which means my next video, which will be my how could they possibly do the Doctor Doom thing with Robert Downey Jr. and stuff after Fantastic Four, and like what could that be? Video will probably be on Nebula, so that could be fun. It will be fun, but it could be fun in terms of like it could be kind of insightful in terms of like that is a way they could do it, or it could just be fun to see and then it's completely wrong. But that is that'll be on YouTube, and then yeah, that's it. And then my snap videos and stuff like that. Probably make a video about X-Men 97. They said they might add other X teams, so I want to talk about what some of those are, because there's a couple of them that they kind of teased and some that I think would fit better than others, but also based on the era it seems like they're going for, there's other ones that it's like they could be in there, and that would be kind of fun. But yeah, so until next week, I've been at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh.
Bye. We love you.